and pack an extra suitcase and expect anything differently. So if whatever happens, happens. But like I said, I'm taking this trip like another 6-day road trip, expecting to come back with these guys, hopefully get a couple series wins, come back, and then, come back on the right foot. If it happens, it happens, and I can't control it. And so I'm not going to make the clubbies have to, deal with another bag or anything like that. And if it happens, their job will probably be a little bit harder. But, if not, I'm taking it, day to day, like I said, and expecting a normal trip.
That was Lars Nootbaar after the game yesterday, talking about his future with the St. Louis Cardinals, hoping that it continues to be with the Cardinals, but unclear on if that will be the case. Alongside Alex and T1, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. The action on the field is taking a backseat to the action off of it right now, Alex. That's the reality.
Yep.
The Cardinals are a seller. Everybody seems to believe that at this point in time. And now the question is, how far do the cuts go? Do you consider moving a Lars Nootbaar? Do you move one of your catchers? It seems at this point very clear they're going to trade their pending free agents. I would anticipate Dustin May has made his last start with the Cardinals. I would expect you maybe see one more appearance from a guy like Ryan Stanek. I think JoJo Romero has pitched his final inning in a Cardinals uniform. I think that stuff is not even in question anymore. It's just a matter of what you get in return, not if you get something in return for them. So I want to start out by discussing a couple of reports that have come out in the last 24 hours, one from Ken Rosenthal, the other from Derek Gould. Would you guys like to start with the local or the national version of the reporting?
Let's start with local. I always like a good localized.
Here's Derek Gould in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch earlier today. The Cardinals are actively exploring interest in their pending free agents. That includes Dustin May, Ryan Stanek, JoJo Romero. No surprise there. Pedro Pages is another candidate to be traded, given the number of teams shopping for catchers. Similarly, Ivan Herrera has been asked about by clubs and has drawn past interest from the Rays, but that does not indicate any eagerness from the Cardinals to move on from him. Again, that all makes sense. A handful of other players have been subject to calls or texts from other teams, and that group includes Riley O'Brien and Lars Nootbaar, teams that at least had a scout present in the past week to score Dustin May's scoreless 5 innings against the Cubs, included the Phillies, the White Sox, the Rays, the Mariners, and the Red Sox.
That's a good group of players. Well, the Red Sox have to be thrown into everything when Heim's making a deal.
Yeah, no doubt. Anything from that stand out to you, Alex, as being particularly interesting, surprising, or anything that stands out heading into this, the 4 days from now deadline?
I don't know if anything stands out surprising, because I've said this all along. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm listening on everything. I guess just the names that were placed into that are intriguing, to say the least, because now you're hearing Nootbaar's name is being called about, Herrera, which we already knew. It truly feels like everything is on the table for the Cardinals, and now there's general interest from these teams. And when you've got 3 to 4 teams calling about these players, what that sparks is a little bit of a bidding war, which might be great for the Cardinals. So again, nothing of this is surprising, but intriguing, because this deadline might be wild in the sense of you could see names going everywhere, but it also might be wild for Cardinals fans, because you are going to see a lot of names that you've gotten used to be traded elsewhere.
Yeah, I think my big takeaway from that is they're going to have a bidding war potentially on Dustin May or O'Brien, because one of those teams stands out to me as they wouldn't be connected to Dustin May even though they were there, and that would be the Mariners. I doubt they're looking for a starting pitcher. Now, they might be looking for a closer or a bullpen arm, so that would make sense that they were there to scout maybe Riley O'Brien. But to me, that screams everybody else on that list outside of the Mariners. Those teams could use maybe a starter. So I could see that there's suddenly more of a bidding war for Dustin May, and BK was kind of looking at some of the underlying metrics of his starts in the office yesterday as we were getting ready for the Redbird Report, and he's up there with some of the other guys that are out there on the market, if not better than some of the other names that are out there on the market when you take a peek under the hood. So I think they may get more in return for Dustin May than I was originally expecting. But outside of that, we've known most of these other names are on the market. It's just a matter of what are they going to be willing to pull the trigger on.
Agreed. I think Pedro Pages' name is the one that stands out to me. Pedro Pages is another candidate to be traded given the number of teams shopping for a catcher. That to me feels like the most in line with what their current goals are. I don't know how Pedro Pages fits into the future plans of this team. It just doesn't make sense to me, honestly. I think it makes more sense to have a longer extended runway for Jimmy Crooks the rest of this season. I would even understand it if they decided to flip Jimmy Crooks and Leo Bernal to get more opportunities up here for Leo Bernal. Or if you want to stick with the 3-catcher configuration, call up Leo Bernal, go with Jimmy Crooks and Bernal as your 2 catchers the rest of the way. Go ahead and platoon Ivan Herrera at first base with Alec Burleson and keep him primarily at DH on the days that he's not playing at first. Like, I can understand any of those scenarios. I do not understand Pedro Baez getting extended looks at the catcher position the rest of the way. So that would be the way that I view it. But then we go to Ken Rosenthal's update from The Athletic earlier today. You ready for this one? It's a doozy, Alex.
I read this one this morning.
According to rival executives, the Cardinals' asking prices are high on their catchers, and there are some concerns that Herrera might not be a catcher long term. Why? That the Cardinals would prefer he catches no more than 2 days a week is also a telling sign that they don't see Herrera as their long-term solution at the position. The Cardinals, though, are exceptionally high on his bat and do not particularly feel inclined to move him. The Cardinals are also high on Pages as a backup. The other catcher that the Cardinals would be most open to moving is Jimmy Crooks. Chaim Bloom will listen on all 3 players if the right prospect package is involved, but he is under no pressure to make any kind of a deal, end quote. That, again, comes from Ken Rosenthal over on The Athletic. What stands out to you there?
Well, one, Pedro Pages is invincible. The guy just cannot be traded because that's how I always feel about the Cardinals. They view it as, well, he's too good of a backup that we just can't move on from. I think it's the Jimmy Crooks angle, which obviously, if that's the one they're most motivated on, makes sense with Bernal and Rodriguez in the minor leagues and doing 2 with Herrera and how they've used Pages over Crooks. My question with that is, what are you realistically going to get for Jimmy Crooks? Because if a team at a deadline is trading for him, do they think that he is going to be an upgrade coming to their roster to help them win a World Series? I mean, maybe they see something that the Cardinals just haven't, and they say, well, we can work with this. And I know a team like the Yankees is just desperate to get anything, but I mean, Crooks makes the most sense for them to explore trading.
More so than Pages.
I think so, because he's got upside, he's got controllability, and you've got Bernal in the minors that you'd say, okay, well, we could put him in this spot. Pages is probably a very select few of teams because it's just a defensive-minded catcher.
See, I think he fits everybody.
Maybe, but
at this time of the year, I think he fits exactly what teams are looking for.
There's a lot of teams, not all teams, I would say, but there are a lot of teams that really value a defense-first catcher.
Look at the teams that win the World Series. They primarily have that guy.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are like the exception to the rule in that they have Will Smith behind the plate. Most of the other teams, you look back at the Astros, they had Martin Maldonado.
Yep.
That was the formula for a lot of these teams across
they
Major
also
League
had
Baseball.
like 4 superstars in their lineup that could hit. And that's
Most
where
of these teams, though, that are contending do have that.
Like the Yankees make sense if you're trading for Pedro Pages, but I also don't think Pedro Pages gets moved because I think the Cardinals value him more than what other teams are going to value him.
Yeah, I think they move him. Because I think they view him as how are we going to play this guy, right? I mean, like
they've been doing it. That's why I think they moved Crooks.
I think they're ready. Bernal seems to be a guy that's ready to come up here. So, like, if you're going to call him up, who's leaving? You know,
Crooks.
Is it Crooks?
Why not both?
I think it's both. I think both are out there. I'm
genuinely asking. Like,
do you feel comfortable playing Bernal the amount of games you have to play him? Because
the rest of the way here?
Yeah, because they're only going to stick with Herrera playing twice a week.
Yeah, sure. I'm fine with that. Now,
do they feel comfortable with it, I guess, is the
over,
question.
Brother. Like,
yes, yeah, brother.
I mean, they're bringing up Quinn Mathews. I think Josh Baez, there's a decent chance he's here by next Tuesday. I think you could see a few of the bullpen arms that are getting crushed at AAA. Hey, welcome to the big leagues.
Schuster.
Like, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of guys on the big league roster the rest of the way that maybe aren't traditional big leaguers, and they're going to get their teeth kicked in a little bit. But that's what August and September is for a team that's not in contention. So to answer your question, Alex, I think it's a fair one, but could we see Leo Bernal? Is he prepared for this opportunity? Sure. Why not? Get him 4 out of every 7 games behind the plate. Go ahead and let Ivan Herrera get the other couple that are there for you. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. Find out what he can do. And if he's capable of that, he gets to be the guy next year. And if he's not, sign the next version of Pedro Pages to a $3 million deal in the offseason. Right? There's a million of those catchers that stick around the league for a decade because they're just really good guys to have in the locker room. You know, so like, can they find their next version of that is a placeholder until they can bring up Leo Bernal or Rainiel Rodriguez next year? Absolutely. You can find that guy in the offseason. I don't know who specifically it is. I can find it if I look at the Spot Rack list of free agents next offseason, but I promise you they're going to be available.
Yeah.
Everybody should be available for this team. So if you can move both of them, by all means. If I'm Heim, and I know it's probably more impossible to pull off, I'd be looking at trying to make like 5 or 6 guys traded away from this roster before the dust settles on the deadline.
Christian Vasquez is a free agent. Go sign him.
Oh, hey, Heim's got a connection with him, too.
100%.
Trading away for Willie Abreu.
Not sure how the
awkward.
relationship is between the two, but
maybe
go
he can
sign
do it
him.
again.
Carson Kelly's a free agent in the offseason.
Oh.
Bring him home.
Mitch Garver is a free agent. Austin Hedges, there you go. That's your move. Austin Hedges is a free agent. He's terrible offensively. Bring him in 1 year, $3 million. He's a free agent at the end of the season, and you can probably trade him or DFA him midway through the season.
Yeah.
That's the move.
I'm with you there. What I find interesting is what they're going to do with Crooks, to Alex's point, because as we talked about yesterday, BK, if you just trade Pages and you're hoping to get Bernal up, here we know how much they value 3 catchers because of Herrera DHing so much, which makes sense, right? If you were to lose a catcher, you don't want to lose a DH in a game. Does that matter, though, to your question of as we get into August and September and these games become less meaningful for a team that is clearly in the dog days of summer that tore down their roster and is definitely more into that rebuilding phase? I don't know how they're going to value that, because I'm with Alex. I don't know what they're getting for Jimmy Crooks. That's the part that I find interesting, because you don't want to sell low on a prospect. He's a guy that I don't know if he's graded out well defensively. He's not hitting here at the major league level. Is it going to be more of those, like I think Derek had mentioned this when he was on with us on Tuesday? Do they try a prospect for prospect trade with Jimmy Crooks, right? Team looks at him as more of a bigger project than he is and may even send him to AAA when they get him. Do they try and do that and they'll flip you like one of their AA pitchers, for example? I think that might be what they're looking for in return for Crooks.
I know that we don't value Jimmy Crooks here locally. I think that is because they have so many catchers in their system. I think other teams will value him. I mean, you look at what he was doing at the AAA level, and maybe we don't care about this any longer. He had an OPS of nearly 1,000 this season at AAA. Now, he came up here. He has not looked good, in my opinion, so far. He's batting 171, and I would say defensively, it's been disappointing relative to the expectations of him being like a solid to plus catcher back there defensively. I would say other teams view it as, wait, this is a former top 100 prospect, a top 5 or 10 catcher in the minor leagues when it comes to prospect pedigree, and he's 24 years old. I'm very much not out on that. If I'm a different team looking at the way that he's played so far this year, and he had an OPS over or right around 1,000 in 40 games at AAA, yeah, I'll buy into that. I'll go ahead and see what that can look like for me as a team that's building for the future. Another contender might view him as what T-Bone just said, prospect per prospect, where he starts at AAA for somebody else, and he just becomes a future member of their organization, and they start their offseason early. Maybe he becomes, I'm going to use this team as a placeholder, but like for other teams across Major League Baseball, it could work too. Maybe he is what the Orioles are looking for, where they'll stash him in AAA for the rest of the season. Maybe they plan to make a move with Rutschman in the offseason, and then he takes the place of Rutschman in March of next year, right? I could see something like that. But whether it's Crooks, Pages, Herrera, Bernal, some combination of the 4, I would say for me, the biggest question going into next Monday's deadline is not if they trade a catcher, but who and how many. Because I think there will be at least one, if not multiple, of those catchers that are dealt prior to the deadline next week. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, that's mine's more just bigger picture with it in the controllable assets. How many controllable assets get moved? Because you've got the catchers. I think Lars Nootbaar should be in this conversation. I wonder about the pitching side of it. And then you've got Riley O'Brien. Like, how many controllable assets are the Cardinals going to be shipping out? And what does that bring you back in return? Because that seems like it's a fast track to hopefully kind of expediting this rebuild by bringing in that type of asset return for guys that have controllability moving forward.
Yeah, I think the catchers is the one that's going to be the biggest one to monitor, because I agree with BK. At least one of them is getting dealt, if not 2 of them, and it's a question of who and then what are you getting in return. But I think the big question for them overall is what Alex is saying is, okay, how many controllable assets do get moved? Because typically I would say, hey, Nootbaar, you could handle that in the offseason, but knowing what that offseason is going to look like, where we're not going to have a winter meetings probably, we're not going to have probably a normal spring training, are you really going to be able to get a Nootbaar deal done this offseason. So, okay, probably not. So do we have to make that move now? Same with Riley O'Brien's a little bit less of a case since he's got 3 more years of control, but he's definitely a name that they should be floating out there. Soriano should be a name that they are floating out there. I'm curious to see how many of those controllable assets, honestly, even the starting pitchers who you've brought up before, I'm fascinated to see what they decide to do with all these controllable assets.
He's T-Bone, that's Alex. I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Your Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. A lot of people already over in the YouTube chat at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. By the way, speaking of YouTube, if you would like to check out the latest edition of the Redbird Report, you can do so right now. youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. If you could do us a favor, at least wait until 2 o'clock to do that. But you can see 1 full hour of Cardinals-specific content. Who stays, who goes. We broke it all down for about an hour yesterday on the Redbird Report. You can check that out now. And just throw this in there. If you or somebody you know is interested in becoming a partner with either the Redbird Report or the Last Minute Blues podcast, we've got some sponsorship opportunities on both of those podcasts right now. Reach out to myself, Alex, or T-Bone if you or someone you know has any interest. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into NFL quick hitters. But next, what is your level of intrigue for Quinn Mathews' debut, which we now know will take place tomorrow in Toronto? We'll get into that next here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK for my friends over at Victory Men's Health. It is time for you to unlock your inner champion. The place to do so is with Victory Men's Health. You can check out all that they have to offer at victorymenshealth.com. When you get to the website, you can read about some of their different services, their supplement shop. They can help you with testosterone optimization, those weight loss goals. I know it can be tough, especially as you get into your 30s, early 40s, but they can help you lose some of that unwanted weight at Victory Men's Health. They can also help you with your sexual health, and you can get started today. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. Click on the upper right-hand corner of the page. It says Get Started. Put in your name, email, phone number. Tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. That first initial visit will include a consultation with a licensed medical provider. They'll do a bunch of lab work for you, find out where all of your different levels are at, and then you'll be able to put together with Victory Men's Health a personalized plan for you to unlock your inner champion. Do it today, Victory Men's Health, and online at victorymenshealth.com. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. It's Quinn Mathew's weekend, Alex.
Hallelujah.
He's going to be getting the start tomorrow in Toronto. They officially made that news available to the media yesterday out at Busch Stadium. They make sense. I'm super excited to see him. I'm curious your level of intrigue for this, because prospects' debuts are always fun. Quinn Mathews is a debut that we've been waiting for about, a year and a half now since he flew through the system in the 2024 campaign. Where does this rank for you guys in terms of an in-season debut? We've seen some highly ranked prospects make their debuts on opening day. Jordan Walker did that. Dylan Carlson did that. We saw it as well with J.J. Weatherholt this season. But in terms of an in-season debut, I would say this is up there with the biggest that we've seen in recent Cardinals memory. Mm-hmm. Is it pretty high for you, Alex?
Oh, yeah. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at like an 8. Like this is very comparable to when we were talking about it in the office. I'd say Mason Wynn and Nolan Gorman. And it's different because it's a pitcher, and I think that's why it might be more exciting for me, because they've just lacked the swing and miss on the pitching side of things. And Quinn Mathews presents that opportunity. Everything he's done in the minor leagues, it's double-digit strikeout per 9, and I think that's going to be a welcoming addition for the Cardinals. Now, what does it look like? I'm very cautiously optimistic, but I'm not going to jump to conclusions after the first start because it might not look pretty. But the excitement, without question, is there, because I think this is the start of them integrating this new mindset into their rotation with the swing and miss. So that's what gets me really excited.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most excited I've been for a Cardinals debut since maybe Nolan Gorman. And I know that seems probably like a bad omen, but the reason I say that is it's the first starting pitcher that they've developed that is their start towards modernization in the pitching staff, where it is chasing swing and miss. And Quinn Mathews, the reason he flew through the system was not just because he was effective down the minor leagues. I mean, this guy was striking out the world two seasons ago before his command kind of went a little AWOL on him last year, and he kind of hit into a little bit of a stall at AAA. But that's just part of the development process. I think that's why I'm most excited about this, because he feels like the first of what is going to be a wave of that new modern pitching of swing and miss, chasing after that into the starting rotation. And that's kind of what it reminds me of with Nolan Gorman. Now, maybe you guys can think of another prospect that I'm missing, but Gorman was kind of the first one that was a true power bat that had kind of come up through the system.
Sure.
Because, like, they had exciting prospects like Dylan Carlson, for example, but he was more of the well-rounded, kind of supposed to be almost like the J.J. Weatherholt type, right?
He was the prototypical Cardinal.
Yeah, prototypical Cardinal. Gorman was like the first, whoa, that guy has legitimate 40 home run power if he figures it out. Now, he didn't, and the flaws for him ended up showing up at the big league level later on in his career. But I think that's why I'm most excited about this, because this is the first time that we've seen them really develop a swing and miss pitcher with this kind of pedigree, and it's coming under the new regime of Chaim Bloom in year one.
Trying to think of guys that had this kind of intrigue and excitement in season. Were you guys excited about McGreevy last year?
Because I watched Eric Fetty for as long as I did, yes.
Was that more about the alternative, or was that more about McGreevy?
It was the alternative.
I think it was the alternative.
McGreevy was more Cardinals-esque pitcher.
Yeah, and to his credit, like when he did come up here, he was pretty good for the Cardinals, but I would say it was mostly, I just didn't want to watch Fetty.
Somebody on the text line from Ollie Doesn't Know, so you guys weren't excited for their opening day with JJ. No, I obviously was.
This is in season.
But I'm talking about in season, guys that had spent a decent portion of the year, hell, even a few weeks at AAA, and then got the call up. Because it does, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but it feels different to me when it happens in season as opposed to on opening day. Because there's the excitement for opening day is, yes, about the prospects, but it's about seeing the club for the first time as well. So it just feels a little bit different when that's the way that it happens. Walker had that. Carlson had that. JJ had that. That one feels a little different to me.
It's the competition, too, like spring training versus a season in AAA where you're going up against guys that are trying to get to the major league level. I just think that's a little bit different types of competitiveness versus spring training with AAA.
I would say other guys that had this level of intrigue for me, I was excited to see Zach Thompson at the time that he got the call up. Now, it's different because this is as a starter. Zach Thompson, I believe, was a reliever when he got the call up originally, but his stuff played. I was super excited to see what it looked like. It obviously has not gone as expected, but I think a lot of people were excited about Liberator when he got the call up. It was a big trade. I think a lot of people were down on it because, I
was going to say, how much excitement
was
it? Excitement versus, okay, let's see this because you traded away Randy Rosarena for this?
I think it was anxiety more than anything.
I think it was, I just want to see this. What did you trade for Randy Rosarena?
Alex Reyes was real.
Yeah, that one was.
That one was like, holy.
That was in season? I thought that was the beginning of the
season.
I think so, because I think they called him up.
I think it was for a Cubs series.
I don't remember exactly.
I thought it was out of spring training.
I think he was a spot starter. I think that's what they brought him up for. Like maybe against, I'm thinking Milwaukee, but that might have been
2016 debut came against Cincinnati as a reliever for the Cardinals.
We had the right division.
It was in August that season.
Yeah, so he was a late call. Wow.
As a reliever, and then he started going a few more bulk innings thereafter.
Starting pitcher, I guess, when you got to see it was coming out of spring training.
No,
that was
in late August, he became a starter for the Cardinals that season in 2016. His first start came against
Milwaukee.
The Oakland Athletics. 4 2/3 innings, 4 strikeouts for him. And then the next one, this is the one that a lot of people will probably remember, was against Cincinnati. 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. That was his first really great start for the Cardinals. Did have a pretty darn good one, though, against the Cubs. 4 1/3 scoreless. That's one that I remember.
Was that the season he punched a wall?
With 4 strikeouts against them. I don't believe so. I think that came later.
Was that later
I think
on?
That was later on in his career.
But he finished out that year with the Cardinals.
Boy,
I remember there were multiple spring trainings.
What year was that?
2016. Yep.
Man,
I remember it. I remember there were delays, I guess.
I was in high school.
Because I could have sworn coming out of spring training, the hype was that he was going to be on the team. And maybe he got injured in spring training.
I think
that was
2017
one of the maybe.
He got hurt. 2018, he didn't really play for them much. And then 2019 was the year that he returned.
Was healthy.
And then got hurt again. And then, 2021 was really the only season that we got to see the fully formed version of Alex Reyes. And then the end of that season was him pitching in the playoffs. You guys probably remember what happened from there.
Man, his last big league pitch was a walk-off home run.
Yep.
That is correct.
Yeah. That's tough.
Literally his last big league pitch.
Yeah, and then he got hurt, and I don't remember what the injury was, but he missed all of 22. They DFA'd him. Dodgers picked him up, and then never made it with the Dodgers. I think he got hurt again.
It does speak to the Cardinals' lack of pitching development that we are this excited about Quinn Mathew, who's like a borderline top 100 prospect. And the last time that we were this excited about a Cardinals prospect making his debut was nearly a decade ago. That ain't great.
It's because it's typically just prototypical Cardinals players that come up through the system that you get to see.
There hasn't been a whole lot of them, even if it's like Zach Thompson, reliever. Gordon Graceffo, reliever. Matthew Liberator, starter, but like...
Kind of.
Yeah.
It was like the McGreevy. It was like a spot start.
And Michael McGreevy was really the one guy that you can say. And, I mean, Jack... We're talking like the Jack Flaherty...
I don't even remember
Alex
him.
Reyes... And the irony here is the guy that was more highly sought after at the time, obviously it didn't become this, but it was Luke Weaver, who was more highly rated than Jack Flaherty at the time. I remember doing the show with Kevin Wheeler here on 101 ESPN, and I was like, I don't get it with Luke Weaver. He's small. He doesn't have great stuff. It doesn't make sense to me why this guy is rated higher than Jack Flaherty. Like, I watched Jack, and I get it.
Wasn't it all about his, changeup or something?
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't do it for me. Now he's made a hell of a career out of it. But
Walker was another one that was exciting.
Walker was hugely exciting, no doubt.
A lot of hype.
That was also like 14 years ago, man.
2013. It was 13 years ago. Yeah.
Dakota Hudson was a
exciting.
highly rated prospect for the Cardinals. I don't know that he was like hugely exciting. You're not getting excited about him the way that the Brewers get excited about Jacob Mizorowski.
None of these guys are swing and miss stuff. They're the typical Cardinals players that are going to hit bats, and defense is going to clean it up for them, and they're going to get through 7. You hope.
What do you think are realistic expectations for Quinn Mathew, Alex?
Oh God, I honestly have no idea, because he's such a different type of pitcher. He's not a pitch to contact. He's a miss bats. His command is concerning, and I'm having low expectations for him for the rest of the season, because where the team is going to be at, the state of the team, I'm not expecting him to come in here and blow anybody's socks off. I am expecting to see that swing and miss stuff that gets you excited. So I think by the end of the season, we're going to be looking at it saying he was fine. Let's hope there's improvement next year. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm not expecting to enter the offseason going, hot damn, they found a top pitcher. That's not where I'm at.
I agree with that because I think he's going to struggle when he gets here. Now, he may end up with more starts depending on what the plan is. But like Jack Flaherty, when he made his debut, 6 games, 5 starts, 21 and a third inning, 6.33 ERA. I wouldn't doubt that it looks something like that. And Jack had a walk issue, 4.2 walks per 9, 8.4 strikeouts per 9. I think it's going to be something like that.
Carlos Martinez was that too.
And I'm sure this was part of the plan. Cardinals picked a really good weekend for him to make his debut. Toronto is the worst team in all of Major League Baseball against left-handed pitchers this year. They, as a team, are batting .215 with a .345 slugging percentage against left-handed pitchers so far this season. That is the worst OPS plus by any team. It is the second worst slugging percentage by any team in Major League Baseball against them. So if you could pick one team in the entire sport that you would want a lefty to make his debut against, it would be Toronto, and that is exactly what the Cardinals chose. So, again, I'm sure they had put some thought into that prior to making this decision, but I think it's a really smart way to go about it. I like that he's making his debut on the road as well. I think that'll help in terms of the nerves. You don't have to make your home debut against, like the Cubs or something. That would have added even more juice. You don't want him to be overly amped in his first start. But I'm excited for it. I do think he's going to do a pretty decent job. I think you're going to see the moments, the flashes of like, okay, that's the stuff that we've heard about. And I'm sure there will also be some moments where it's like, oof, okay, a little more seasoning is necessary for that. But his second start is probably going to be against Colorado. Great. Like having your first 2 starts against Toronto on the road, bad team against lefties, and then the next start against Colorado, I think they set it up potentially really well for what he's going to have to go through early on. And then the next one against either Cincinnati on the road or Chicago on the road.
Welcome to big leagues.
Good luck.
Yeah, well, that will be when the shoe drops.
Hopefully it starts well in the first
two. Let me tell you, that's where the hype really comes in.
Before we get to NFL quick hitters on the other side, guys, Brendan Schaefer had this in his piece yesterday. There are no other immediate adjustments expected for the Cardinals rotation. Matthews is not positioned at this point to replace an existing starter, but rather to join the group for this turn in the rotation. Marmol also reiterated this week the club's intention to keep Matthew Liberatore in the rotation for his next turn. So I would anticipate Matthew Liberatore will make his start on Sunday in Toronto. Do you guys think that will continue to be the plan after that?
Yep, I do.
You think he still continues to be a starter for the Cardinals?
I think he makes another start after that. I don't know how many more, but I think he makes another start after that.
I think that's his last one.
I do too. I'm not buying what they're selling.
Dobbins is one of your starters, and I think Quinn Mathews will be the other.
Yeah.
I think the 2 guys that they'll replace are Dustin May and Matthew Liberatore.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not buying what they're selling unless Libby goes out and shoves 7 innings or 6 innings, strikes out 8. Then maybe they would run it back one more time because he built on some momentum. I don't expect him to do that. B, I'm not buying what they're selling because they were also the same people that 2 days ago were like, by the way, we're sitting Dobbins down, but wink, wink, when we make a trade, we can call him back up without the 15 days. They didn't say that for no reason, so I expect that he'll be back in the rotation.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into Ask Us Anything. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for any of your questions, sports or otherwise, here on BK and Ferrario. But next, NFL Quick Hitters here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. Cardinals fell to the Cubs yesterday 4-2 as they dropped 3 of 4 to the Cubs as they head out on the road tonight. They'll start a 3-game set at the Toronto Blue Jays. 6:07 will be first pitch. Kyle Leahy will be on the mound for St. Louis. Dylan Cease will get the start for Toronto. And the Cardinals yesterday postgame announced Quinn Mathew will make his debut this weekend as he'll get the start on Saturday for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
With Alex and T-Bone on BK, time for some NFL quick hitters here on 101 ESPN. Let's start out with this, Alex. The 49ers made a move yesterday, signing Deebo Samuel. He's back. 1 year, $7 million deal. This is in response to some of the injuries that they have at the receiver position, including Ricky Pearsall, who it sure sounds as though isn't going to play this season for the 49ers again. Boy, has that been a disaster of a first-round selection for them. My biggest takeaway from this, man, they're going to go down as this era as what could have been team.
Yep.
Because it seems like every year they've got this same story that ends up ruining their season. Whether it's George Kittle getting hurt, or Deebo Samuel not looking the same once they get to the postseason, or Fred Warner, or they get into the Super Bowl and their starting linebacker next to Fred Warner gets hurt. Like, it's every year there's something that ultimately leads to them not quite getting over the hump. Did you have a different takeaway from this, or is that how you're going to remember this era of 49ers football?
The exact same as you, man, because like the team that got Christian McCaffrey, the team that kept finding gems and putting these incredible players on the defensive side and offensive side, and they always fell short. They had multiple chances to win the Super Bowl, and they always came in flat with it. And now, I mean, I don't trust Brock Purdy, even with Shanahan, because the weapons are just not what they've been in the past. This team is starting to really trend towards, do they just say, well, we're going to have to start going the opposite direction? Like, I think they're the third best team in the NFC West going into this season.
I'd agree with that. And when I saw this signing and was reading up on, like, okay, why did they bring back Deebo? And it was because of the injuries. It's a reminder to me, and I felt this way before seeing the news, their window's closed, right? Now they're probably a playoff team, but their contention window of, like, you actually feel like, okay, that team could get to the Super Bowl, it's closed. It's been closed for the last year or two, and they're just kind of treading water right now, and they're going to have to see if they can try and retool this thing on the fly because Shanahan's still a hell of a coach.
Awesome.
I was going to ask about that, though. Like, what's his contract, and how long is he the coach of the 49ers?
I think he's the next coach of the Chiefs.
That makes sense.
I'm being serious. I really think eventually, because...
Is his contract up with the Niners?
No, I don't think so, but we know how this works, right? Eventually, he's going to do the Kyle Shanahan, or the Sean Payton thing.
I'm going to retire. Wink.
Yeah, his contract will be up eventually. He'll say, I think I'm going to go ahead and step away. They'll do the mutual parting of ways, and he'll say, I need a break, take a year off, come back, be the Kansas City Chiefs head coach, something along those lines. That feels to me like the way that this is going to go.
The LeBron of the NFL coaches chasing rings.
We'll have to wait to see what the state of the Chiefs are before Shanahan goes there to say it's chasing rings.
I mean, they're going to have Patrick Mahomes,
yeah, I mean,
so I feel like it'll be a good situation.
That'd be like him saying, I'm leaving to go coach Tom Brady in his early 30s.
They've won 12 or more games in 3 of the last 7 years. They've won 10-plus games in 5 of those 7 years. They've been to the NFC Championship game 4 times over this stretch, the Super Bowl twice. They have objectively been a success. And Kyle Shanahan, I agree, is one of probably the 5 best coaches in the NFL. They just haven't quite been able to get over the hump. And I'm going to remember them kind of the way that I remember like the Philadelphia 76ers from this era with Joel Embiid. He just couldn't stay healthy. A really good player, was always in it, but they couldn't find a way to get over the top. Or, like, I'm trying to think of another good example of this. The Clippers, maybe? With this era of Kawhi Leonard, I would say they're even more disappointing. They never quite got to where we saw.
Would you put Buffalo in that for football?
Sure, yeah. I think it's different because they failed as opposed to it being, injuries
they were 13
mostly.
Seconds away, and they had Josh Allen.
Yeah.
They had an MVP candidate, the one guy that we thought could beat Patrick Mahomes, and they just haven't been able to get over the top.
That feels like a good comp.
Now, the team that I'm about to mention did end up getting one, but the Packers had some of this. where in the Aaron Rodgers era, they were just always kind of close. They got over the hump once. Ironically, it was their most injured team that won the Super Bowl that year, but they went on a crazy run and ultimately won the Super Bowl. Outside of that, though, they always fell short. They found a way to lose once you got to the biggest moments.
This team has a smaller window. I don't know if they qualify here.
Go ahead.
Detroit.
Which one?
Lions.
The Lions? Yeah.
Because, I remember us saying 2 years ago. Yeah, and that's why I was like, I don't know if they count here because it was so small. But I remember us saying, hey, man, this might be their last chance. Ben Johnson's there as the OC. Aaron Glenn was running the defense. Now, the defense dealt with a ton of injuries, which really derailed them. And they never got over the hump. And then both coordinators left. And last year, look, I think they've already fired both those guys that they replaced them with.
Two teams in baseball that I think kind of have some similarities.
I've got one in my mind.
The Phillies.
That's a good one.
And the Yankees.
I had Yankees on my mind.
Got the star talent. Feels like they should have had one by now. I like the way they, most of the time, are constructing their roster. Just haven't found a way. Also, they're in the easier of the two leagues right now. Kind of like the 49ers, where they didn't have a juggernaut that they had to get through the way that the Bills did with the AFC. At least the Phillies can say, hey, man, we got to go through the Dodgers every year. What are we supposed to do here? And they did get through one time. Just couldn't quite get over the top.
I think Edmonton's going to be there pretty soon in hockey.
Good point. That's a really good one.
I think Edmonton's going to be the prototypical 49ers.
Did you put Toronto in that too?
Yep. They have the star talent. And you know what's funny? I'll say Minnesota in 3 years are going to be that as well. If they don't win, because I don't think Quinn Hughes signs very long, Kaprizov is going to be 32, 33 years old. They're going to be the team that I think you look back and say, well, you missed your window.
Hurricanes were this before last year.
Yeah.
Before they won it.
Where they got close every year. They were always in the conversation. And you'd come into the season, they'd consistently be top 5 in the odds to win the cup, and they just never did it.
Yep. I think Edmonton, though, is the perfect example of it. Team that got to the finals, never got it done, and then their players are going to start aging out.
Is this how the Goldie era is going to be remembered in St. Louis?
They never got close enough.
And I don't think they were ever as good as those 49ers.
The reason I bring it up, though, is you had Paul Goldschmidt producing for a high level for quite a while. And then when you added Arenado, you had the year where it was probably just 1 year.
I think they're closer. I brought up the Clippers. I think they're closer to the Clippers.
That's
where it's
fair.
just viewed as a disappointment.
Yeah, that's fair.
You had the players, whether it's injury, age, just overall ineffectiveness, for whatever reason, they couldn't get it done together. Yeah. I think that's probably more similar to what I would remember it as.
That's probably fair.
The difference is the Clippers had to give up all of their assets to get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. The Cardinals didn't sell their souls. Yeah. And when I say that, the aspiration stuff that's going on right now, the Clippers are in a lot of turmoil, and it's all because of the decision to bring in Kawhi Leonard, 5 years ago now?
Yeah.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It is time for Ask Us Anything on the Other Side. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, we'll get to those next here on BK and Ferrario. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, go ahead and get them in right now. In the 12 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by Brad Thompson, Cardinals analyst. We'll discuss the impending debut of Quinn Mathew with BT coming up at 12:30. From the 314, Alex, who wins the Stanley Cup first? Connor McDavid or Macklin Celebrini? That's a fun question.
Ooh, that's a really fun question. I'll say Connor McDavid. I think their window to win before McDavid leaves is the next 2 years. They finally got a goaltender in Frederik Andersen. They've shaved some money off of their salary cap by getting rid of Darnell Nurse. I think Celebrini, as great as he is, they still don't have a goaltender. All of their defensemen are still super young. I still say they're about 3 to 4 years away. I think McDavid could win it in the next 2, so I'll say McDavid.
That's what I would go with.
I would go Celebrini. And the reason I say that, now, I think McDavid, if he leaves, it becomes a different conversation.
Oh, yeah, they're not winning it if he leaves.
I think Edmonton's kind of stuck. You know, they've got bigger contracts. They've had to do some maneuvering, like they got off the Nurse deal this year, which was big for them. But they're more stuck, in my opinion. Meanwhile, San Jose's on the rise. Celebrini's only going to get better from here, and they've got more flexibility. And that's why I would bet on San Jose as a younger team to be the one that would get it first.
From the 636, guys, would you rather see a Cardinals pitcher throw a no-hitter this season or the team make it to the playoffs after they sell off at the deadline?
This will be selfish. I want to see a no-hitter.
Really?
Yeah. I've never seen one, man, like from the Cardinals. Yeah, have you gotten close? And I can't tell you how excited I was watching that Miles Michaelis one, feeling like I was going to get to watch it.
For me, it's very clearly the playoffs. It's not close.
I would say playoffs as well, though a no-hitter would be really cool. You mentioned Michaelis. I was even thinking of the Dustin May one earlier this year.
That's another really good one.
I thought he was going to do it. I think he was, 6 outs short, 9 outs short. But I would say playoffs just because I love October baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport to cover, and doing that run in 2022 was awesome. So I would say the playoffs. From
the 314, what would you set the over-under on number of players traded for the Cardinals at the deadline? I think you're for sure. The following players I think will for sure go. I think Dustin May's gone. I think Jojo Romero's gone. I think Ryan Stanek is gone. I think a catcher is gone.
I was going to say, I'd put it at 4.5.
That's where I think it'd go as well.
And I'd take the over.
I think so, too.
I would as well, because I think you're going to see Nootbaar get dealt, and then I wouldn't doubt that O'Brien or one of the other controllable relievers gets dealt.
Yep. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 314, what do you think are some realistic free agent signings the Cardinals could make in the next 2 off seasons?
Well, they gave you Austin Hedges.
I say this with all love in my heart. I have no clue.
Hole
I haven't gotten there.
That's what I'll call them, hole fillers.
A pillow contract would be one I'd look for a rotation.
More Ramon Urias.
We've talked about this a little bit on this show and on the Rebel Report. Like, if Peralta doesn't bounce back in the second half after he gets traded, he's going to look for a pillow contract. And he won't be able to get the QO because he's going to be traded. So I would circle Freddie Peralta. I would circle former friend Zach Gallen as a guy that really needs a pillow contract and probably could use a change of scenery from Arizona. BK's brought up Chris Bubich before from the Kansas City Royals. He makes some sense because he's still fairly young as a lefty and can't stay healthy. Those are kind of the ones that I'd be targeting at least this offseason.
Yeah, Bubich is the one that immediately stands out to me. Lefty, still young, has the potential to be an all-star, was literally an all-star a year ago. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So it becomes a question of, can he regain that form? It's very similar in that regard to Dustin May. In fact, he's the same age as Dustin May. So that would be the pitcher that immediately stands out to me as a really intriguing option for the Cardinals heading into this offseason. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. From the 314, guys, we all love Jeremiah Love, but is he a trap for fantasy football draft managers? How high would you be willing to draft him in a 14-team league? I don't know what to make of the Cardinals and what they're doing with their running backs this year. They've got 3 of them that could conceivably be starters on most teams.
I saw some report that they're really wanting to balance that out this year with him and Connor, and who's the other one?
It's the guy that took over last year for Connor.
No, they've got the other guy that they just signed, Algier.
Algier,
oh,
yeah.
I thought they had a guy that filled in, too, when Connor was hurt last year.
He's with the Chiefs now.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
He's an angel.
I think you probably take him. If you want him, I think you're going to have to get him in the latter portion of the first round. But I don't think I would take him there. Like, if you have the option, I'm looking at the average draft position right now. He's going, a little lower than I would have expected.
Second or third round, because that's kind of what I was thinking.
Second round, late second round right now.
I don't think I'd touch him till the third.
Guys going behind him include the following players. Breece Hall. Would you take Jeremiah Love or Breece?
I would say Breece. I think he's going to have more
Breece
workload.
can't stay healthy, though. So.
Love or Kyron?
Kyron.
Love or Travis Etienne with the Saints now?
That one, I think I'd go Love.
I think I'd go ETN still.
I think so, too. Love
close.
or
Come on,
David Montgomery. That's where I think you start getting into the, I'll take the upside of Jeremiah Love. Montgomery is with Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Quinshon Judkins is in that range. Travion Henderson, DeAndre Swift. That's kind of where I would see him, where I would take him. But that means that I'm not going to get Jeremiah Love in fantasy this year. So, yeah, I think there's a buyer beware with him for sure.
And I'm typically more, I don't know about you guys, I'm more cautious on taking rookies. Just because, like, as fun as they are and fun to project, they are typically either struggle in year one or the teams don't use them as much in year one.
I don't feel that way about running backs.
Well, I don't think the people that took Ashton Genty high last year regret it.
Yeah, because
Jahmyr Gibbs, I regretted his rookie year.
His team was terrible. But I think
Detroit's wasn't. When Jahmyr Gibbs
but he was in a clear cut. The running back that was with him was already very established. And I think that's probably the cautionary tale here with Arizona.
Or not Kyle Conner, James Conner.
If you had a team, like if he was drafted by the Chiefs, I would have no hesitation of taking him really high. Because in that scenario, they probably wouldn't have paid Kenneth Walker. And so he's just getting all of the snaps. His situation is what makes me concerned. A, the team is no good. And B, I don't know how much of the snap share he's going to be able to get. Like, he might be in a 50% snap share. That's not great.
Yeah.
And Genty last year it's just an atrocious situation.
And an awful offensive line, I feel like, for the Cardinals, which isn't going to. And you have Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, there's going to be options that they always don't check down to Jeremiah Love.
From the 573, guys, if you had to predict today, who do you think trades for Dustin May?
Philadelphia. I think they're looking for a back-end starter. I saw something where, like, they're 5-20-something when they have their 4 and 5 stars going this year. I think Dombrowski's going to use him as, like, that fourth star that could start a playoff game for him.
Give me Tampa.
I like the Tampa one.
You've got the connection with Heim. They typically go a little lower under the radar. I think they could tinker with his arsenal a little bit as well. And I think he'd be a really good fit with them. So I do not think Tampa will ultimately trade for Tarek Skubal. I think they look a little lower, and I think Dustin May feels very much like a Tampa Bay Ray to me.
I'll say Texas.
That's a good one, too.
Kind of history making trades with them.
Legitimately a dozen teams.
I can see Atlanta, too, because how bad they need pitching.
That's a great spot.
Yeah.
From the 314, guys, do you think Lars Nootbaar could be a Dodger? I don't know if they need an outfielder.
Oh, man, they're going big fish hunting.
I just saw an article. I'm going to click on it during the break of what the Dodgers plan to do. Like, if this just doesn't say Skubal and that's the end of the article, I don't know what they're doing.
I have seen some buzz that they could trade Teoscar Hernandez at the deadline to free up a spot on their roster. Would you guys be interested in Teoscar Hernandez if that's something that they decide to do?
No, because I'm just hoping Baez is kind of Hernandez-esque.
Yeah. I agree. I was just curious if that's something you guys would be willing to take back. Have you guys seen what... It's insane. Have you guys seen what Tommy Edman has done this year, by the way?
He's been great, I know. I don't remember what his numbers are, but I was watching the game the other night, and they were talking about how great he's been.
He's hitting 320. Now, we know how this works. He's going to end up hitting 250 by the end of the season. But right now, he's on an absolute heater once again. He has not been healthy since getting with the Dodgers. He played 97 games last year and 34 games so far this year. So the Cardinals did avoid a bit of a landmine there when it comes to his health, which had already started to show up by the end of his time here in St. Louis. But, boy, when he's healthy, he's a perfect Dodger. He can play anywhere on the field at any time, and he's been highly productive for them. And they're paying him like $15 million a year. So for them, it's chump change.
Yeah.
For the Cardinals, that would be literally their highest paid player on the roster right now.
He'd be playing center field, and we'd be feeling pretty good about it.
Honestly,
well, he wouldn't be playing for the most part this season since he's played 30 games. But yeah, he'd be great now.
He'd be in center field.
Or at third.
Which you'd feel good about it.
I don't know that arm would play at third.
Yeah, I think
but his arm in center will play?
I think he's playing in center.
Come on. I remember talking about him in the outfield. I was like, guys, I don't like him in the outfield. Well, how often is noodle arm going to be a problem? More often than we thought.
I don't know. I feel like the arm is less of a liability at center than it is at third.
I agree with that.
I think you have more plays that need to be made with the arm at third than there are in center.
Also, hitting 320. I don't care about your noodle arm.
That's fair.
I'll take the 320 batting average.
Also, especially in center field. The bat profiles better in center than it does at third.
Yeah.
Correct. I could fill the void at third throughout my system.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, Alex, it is time. This is this time of the year
where I lose my voice.
It's an annual tradition. It is time for the Major League Baseball trade deadline.
Roundup!
Here on BK and Ferrario. It's time for the BK and Ferrario Roundup here on 101 ESPN. We lost our hats.
Hear ye!
There used to be three hats in here?
Bradford took a couple home.
Oh, there's one.
Yeah. Dude, I would not put that on. I don't know how long it's been back there. I don't know who's been touching that. Might be some mouse poop in there.
Man.
Hear ye! I think you should do the crown instead.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We do this each and every year, the trade deadline roundup. It's one of my favorite things that we do here on BK and
Dust flying in
Ferrario.
the air.
Dude, I know.
Hat.
You picked it up and like dust bunnies came out of it.
From Mark Feinsand moments ago, 3 days from the trade deadline, are talks around the league progressing? Quote, this comes from an executive. Sellers are holding high asks. Buyers are balking, one exec said. Sounds like the real wheeling and dealing won't happen until Sunday or Monday for the most part.
It's just a day that ends in Y then around the trade deadline. I love the reporting this time of the year, man.
I can
It's never
exclusively
sport.
report the following. Guys, the sellers want a lot for their players, and the buyers want to pay less. And until that changes, you're not going to see many deals. This is not me criticizing Mark Feinsand. He got a quote from an executive. Like, you got to say what you got to say.
And you put it out there.
But, yeah, I mean, I can also report that without having talked to anybody around
This
the
was
league.
the Jason Robertson reporting when the whole like, hey, he could sign a deal. Hey, he could get traded. Hey, he could go to arbitration. Like, man, this is some great reporting right now. That's
so
life.
the 3 options that are on the table are still on the table. Sounds
Cool.
good. Great.
So he's going to do one of 3 things that he can only do.
Yep.
All right, man. Let's ride.
Let's get into the roundup here on BK and Ferrario. All right, Alex, got this from the Twins last night. They did some wheeling and dealing. Decided to officially add their name to the buyer list. They have traded for A.J. Minter, a reliever. How does this influence, in your opinion, what the market's going to look like now that the Twins have officially made it clear they're buying, not selling at the deadline?
Well, the market, I guess this means more teams that are like fringe believers are going to buy. I would say more so in the American League than the National League. I don't like the Twins.
They're 1 game back of a playoff spot, by the way.
Yeah, like
they've been awful for most of the season.
The Twins buying in the American League, although it doesn't make sense to me, I guess it makes sense in light because it feels like you get in and anything can happen, even though I don't think Minnesota's doing anything. I wouldn't say the same thing because the teams that are in the same spot are close to the same spot as the Twins, Marlins, Nationals, Pirates, Padres. I don't think any of those teams are going to be buying.
I would say the difference is the bar to clear is so much higher in the National League. I think the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, the Padres are so much better than the Guardians or the Twins or the Astros or the Orioles.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm the Mariners, I'm buying like crazy at this year's deadline because I just flat out think I'm better than all those teams.
Yeah, totally. It's the American League, man. I'd be buying if I'm any team right now in the American League, not named the Angels or the Athletics.
And if you're the Twins, last year was such a disaster at the trade deadline, and it was self-imposed. You did this to yourself if you're the team, but you lost a lot of goodwill with your fan base from that. You're not going to be able to get that back from one trade deadline. It's going to take years to regain the faith that you lost last year at the deadline, but you got to make a good faith effort. If you're 1 game back of the wild card and 3 games back of the White Sox for the division, you got to at least try to go for it. Them selling this year, I think, would have been a catastrophic mistake given what they did a year ago. If that didn't exist, if they hadn't done that, sure, go ahead and sell. But now, you got to go ahead and buy.
Yeah, I agree with you on that sentiment. I also saw this trade and said I wonder if this is kind of what a package looks like to get JoJo. Because Minter, 1 year left on his deal, and they got 2 prospects that aren't like that highly regarded. They're 2 lottery tickets. I think you're probably looking at the same for JoJo, especially since he's on the IL right now, and there's not really a known timeline for when he's going to be pitching again.
And see, I saw it, and I'm like, man, you could get more than what they got for if you trade Riley O'Brien.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Because of the controllability and obviously the ability to save. So like, that's the part where it's like, man, I'm selling a lot of my bullpens aren't. Soriano as well. Like, you can get a pretty damn good return for Soriano because of the control.
Buster Olney with an update on a Reds pitcher that may be available at this year's deadline. Quote, the odds of Reds pitcher Hunter Green being traded before the deadline are about 50-50, according to one evaluator. Even in this crowded pitching market, Hunter Green stands out at a time when the Rays, Cubs, Phillies, Braves, and so many others are hell-bent on adding a starter. They presumably would be looking for players who could help them in the immediate future rather than prospects in the low minor leagues. Alex, count me as being extremely interested in Hunter Green. Now, it would take a ton to acquire. I don't think they're ultimately going to deal him within the division. But if Green is truly available, and 50-50 odds certainly would suggest that he is, boy, I hope the Cardinals are in on it.
Yeah.
Or at least are making a call to find out what the price would be.
It'd be crazy not to. I'm with you, though, to the point where it's like that's a pipe dream in my opinion, because I don't think you're going to see that in-division trade, especially for somebody as big as that, because you're giving up a hell of a lot to go on the other side, and I don't believe the Cardinals are going to do that in division.
Yeah, I like Hunter Green because his stuff is disgusting. I mean, if you post a sub-3 ERA at that ballpark, yeah, you're a really good pitcher. I don't have interest for the Cardinals because of what it's going to cost to get him. I mean, like you guys said, it's going to be a haul, and he's also got some injury concerns, right? He's come back just from an injury now, and he hasn't been good in his 4 starts, dealt with injuries last year. I'm out for the price it's going to be.
News from the Tigers today. They have scratched Casey Mize in his start, which would have potentially been his final start with the club. They decided to go with a bullpen game. Instead, the move preserves his health heading into Monday's trade deadline. Casey Mize is probably a guy that very few casual baseball fans have talked about in recent years for good reason. He's been hurt most of the time. He's putting together an excellent year for the Detroit Tigers. He's got a 2.70 ERA. He was pretty darn good for them last year as well, throwing 150 innings with a mid-3s ERA. He's a guy that I wonder, like, if you are the Phillies or the Rays and you want to really upgrade your rotation in a meaningful way, I don't think it's going to take a ton to get Casey Mize compared to like a Tarek Skubal. And I think he could be like just, I know this is going to sound crazy, but for the rest of the season, I think you could get comparable results from Casey Mize to what you would expect out of Tarek Skubal. I don't think he's as good as Tarek Skubal. And if you had to sign up for one long term, like for multiple years, obviously you'd rather have Tarek Skubal. But you just look at the results from this year. A 2.7 ERA, again, not all that dissimilar from what you've been able to get out of Tarek Skubal in 2026. He has a 2.8 ERA. So I would be very interested if I'm a buyer in Casey Mize.
Yeah, he's very good. He was someone we talked about if the Cardinals were going to be buying as someone that they could go out and get. My bold prediction on him, he gets traded before Skubal, and it's Milwaukee that jumps the gun and gets him.
Oh, God.
Milwaukee adds him as that number 3 behind Mizrowski and Harrison. You're talking about a really good 1-2-3 punch from Milwaukee in that rotation.
I really like that prediction. That makes a ton of sense. Yep. Zig while everybody else is zagging.
Yep, everybody's going to be talking to the Tigers about Skubal. Everybody's connecting the dots on the Brewers. I've not read anything out of Milwaukee that's like, yeah, we're in that race. Yeah, we're going after him. I wouldn't doubt that they target a rental starter and they go after someone with some upside.
Who's the team that you think ultimately is the most active at this year's trade deadline, either as a buyer or a seller? The team that we leave saying, holy bleep, look at everything they did. I feel like the Mets were this team a year ago. Now, it failed spectacularly, but they really went for it. They added Ryan Helsley and a bunch of other dudes. Who's the team that you think will do that this season that gets super active before the deadline?
My answer is the Cardinals. I think they make a ton of moves. I think they ship 6 or 7 guys out of St. Louis by the end of the trade deadline.
I kind of like that bold prediction. I think the team is going to be active as a buyer to go on the opposite side of it. I think the Cubs, everything seems to be screaming that they're going to be very active on the pitching front.
I've got 2 that I think are going to be super active. I think the Phillies are going to add a bunch. I think they're going to really try to revamp their pitching staff.
It's been a little quiet out of Philly, which makes me wonder.
Concerning.
I think that they're going to get active. It's just not there quite yet. The other team that I think could be pretty darn active is Seattle. When I get to this time of the year, I look at, okay, who is most incentivized? Like if they don't go on a run, the consequences are significant. I think for Philadelphia, that's the case. And I would say for Seattle, I feel that way as well. If they don't make good on this core, boy, is Jerry DiPoto going to get a lot of crap in Seattle. And I do wonder what that means for his job long term. He's a guy that's willing to wheel and deal. We've seen this before. I think he's going to do a lot of wheeling and dealing at this year's deadline.
One of those teams for me that would stick out towards that is Pittsburgh. They seemed, I think we're going to look back on them and go, man, they really overpaid for a lot of bullpen arms, because that seems to be the thing that they're connected to. Like, they're reportedly looking into Luke Weaver. They're going to have to give up a haul to get him because he's got another year on that contract. I think Ben Cherington knows his seat is hot, and I think he's going to overpay, and it's going to be at bullpen arms where he's going to go aggressive.
Talk of the deadline is Tarek Skubal. Where do you guys think he goes?
Dodgers.
I think it's Dodgers as well. I mean, they've got everything.
Nobody's given up a top prospect for him.
This one doesn't make me as mad as like when they just sign everybody. And the reason I say that, it's because they've done everything right of developing prospects.
Their pipeline's great.
They've got great pitching that the Tigers would want, which is controllable stars like Robleski.
It annoys me because they've signed everybody that they could also, though, get Tarek Skubal.
This one is one of those, though,
it's totally fair. But
yeah, this is one of those to me where it's like, man, they draft like 30th every year. And I would hear the Cardinals say, well, we can't find top-end talent when we drafted
You're
like the
right.
20s.
Can I add
Mo.
I'll add a little bit of a disclaimer here. Yes, they've done a very good job of developing those players. Also, the reason those players are available from them is because they then go out and sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and they go out and they sign Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell. Like, they would not be able to trade from their surplus of young pitching if they had not also added $500 million to their rotation.
Sure, but they also had to develop those guys to become top prospects in baseball.
But a lot of them are not actually like legit top prospects in baseball.
They're viewed that way.
I mean, they have one of the best pipelines in all of baseball.
Like that, I agree. You are right on your
because they
sentiment.
have not graduated. Like, Emmett Sheehan is not actually a prospect. He's 27. He's just been stuck in their system because they have 5 other dudes that are making $100 million. For the Cardinals, he would have been at the big league level for 3 years. Justin Robleski is 26, man.
Hey.
He's finally becoming a starter now.
You don't like it? Accept a cap.
Roki Sasaki. He's not a prospect.
I still think
they paid millions of dollars to
him. We can say that about the Dodgers. The Mets aren't doing that well. The Mets haven't developed anything in their pipeline. They're a disaster.
Understood. You're correct. They are the outlier.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. This is one of those where I'm just not gonna hear the argument against the Dodgers because they're doing things right in their minor league system.
Sure, they are doing things right. But the way that they do it right is by also making sure that they have all of these $100+ million players at the big league level, right? I don't know if Andy Pages is this, if he's the number one guy in a lineup. But he's not the number one guy there. He's batting in front of Freddie Freeman and behind Shohei Ohtani. I think that makes you get some better pitches to hit. I think having
debatable.
Max Muncy batting 4th and Mookie Betts batting 6th and Kyle Tucker batting 7th helps him.
Debatable.
I think that's a good thing. Them being able to have a guy like Tommy Edman on the IL the entire year, and it just doesn't matter. Despite him making $15 million this year, it means nothing to them. That's chump change. They're fine with it. Hey, Blake Snell, go ahead and rehab for 120 games. We're fine. We're good here. I don't know, man.
You don't like it? Accept a cap. That's how we get this fixed.
Or
and
go
that's the
trade
only
for
way it
Skubal
happens.
yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't want them to have Skubal, guess what?
Give up
Go
your
get
prospects.
them, right? And some of their deals that they've signed in the offseason, look, nobody was really going to be able to afford Ohtani except like the Dodgers. You could have paid Freddie Freeman Tampa Bay if you really were interested in that contract. That wasn't a contract that didn't break the bank for most teams. Teams chose not to sign Freddie Freeman and they went after him. Teoscar Hernandez, you could have gotten him for a 3-year deal, $67 million.
Did you hear that
Guess
tone?
what the Dodgers? I heard the tone. I didn't care about it. His stupid cowboy hat over there.
It is hard to take me seriously.
It's so high. And he does the thing where he puts it under
He's
his
going to
chin.
be a
Like, come
Dodger,
on,
and
man.
I'm not going to be that upset about it.
Okay. We disagree.
Clearly.
Yeah.
They can sign Shohei Ohtani and then do all of that stuff that you're talking about. That's what makes them different.
Yeah, but if you read Ken Rosenthal's piece, baseball's in a great spot.
I think it is. That's the thing.
Teams
Like,
are fighting for a
it
wild
is in a
card.
great spot. They have one problem.
Yeah, but everybody's got a chance in this World Series because they're fighting for the wild card.
They have a chance in the regular season.
No.
Because the Dodgers are resting everybody.
Ken said everybody's got a chance in this postseason.
No, they don't. Coming up next. The SEC is acting like a bunch of losers right now. We'll talk
We're
about
losers.
it. BK and Ferrario. With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Listen, I love the SEC. That's my conference. I've adopted them. But they're acting like a bunch of losers right now, Alex.
Hey, that plays into the show, man.
Listen, like, when you win it all, you get to peacock. And that is what the Big Ten is doing right now. Curt Cignetti, chief among them after winning a title. Here's him at the Big Ten Media Days.
The Big Ten is the best league in football. And a lot of really good football teams. It's hard to win on the road. Very physical football teams, very well coached. It definitely prepares you for the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. The numbers speak for themselves. I mean, we don't run a hype machine up here in the Midwest. We believe everything's earned, not given. And when we fall short, we say we fell short. We don't cry a river, whine, and complain. All right? And that's why we're the best.
Coach Cignetti, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
He's right.
You just laid it out all on the table there.
I love Cignetti.
Dude, I might become a Hoosiers fan now.
I didn't enjoy being in Indiana when they just killed Illinois and I was in attendance, but man, I love Cignetti.
I like this guy.
He's such an excellent coach, and he says it how it is. Now, that message goes a little differently if they're not good.
Yeah.
But they are.
100%.
Yeah, you
And
talk about poster material against the SEC.
They have earned the right to call themselves the best conference in the land. Now, that could change 5 years from now. Hell, that could change next year. But for right now, Indiana and Ohio State are better than anything that the SEC has to offer. Just flat out. That was the case last year. You add in Oregon, Michigan's been pretty darn good. Not great, but pretty darn good. They've got some depth with Iowa, USC, Washington. I'll throw Illinois into the mix. They're not great, but they're decent. I think that reign is coming to an end, but, they're all right. I think the rest of the conference mostly stinks. But the SEC wasn't touting number 10 to 16 in the conference when they were good. They were touting the fact that Georgia and Alabama were excellent, and they also had a few other really good teams. And so this idea that, hey, the SEC is just this gauntlet from 1 to 14. Well, yeah, I mean, you've got some really good teams. Like Auburn, pretty solid last year. You would not want to play them in an ideal world as one of the worst teams on your schedule as they're 5-7 and 1-7 in the SEC. That's not why you're the best conference in America. You're the best conference in America because you perennially win the title and you have 3 or 4 teams that could win it. That is now, that crown has gone from the SEC to the Big Ten. It's just a better football conference right now. I'm sorry, but SEC, you got to do some work in order to catch up to where the Big Ten is currently at.
Yeah, and guess who was peacocking for the longest time? It was the SEC because Alabama and Georgia, nobody could touch them even if you thought your team was good.
They earned it.
Yeah, you knew what to expect every season. Alabama or Georgia was going to go undefeated, and they were going to be there in the national championship. I frankly love a coach that does that, though. Like, just sticks to their guns and speaks their mind, but then backs it up with the production. And you're right. Like, all of this goes silent, and everybody's laughing if Indiana is terrible this year. And Coach Cignetti looks a little bit different than what he did last year with how that roster is built. But for right now, nobody can touch the Big Ten because they've got the top teams right now in college football that you look at and you say one of those 3-4 teams are going to be there at the end, and those teams should be flaunting it.
Yeah, and I think you can have two different conversations of, is the SEC maybe a deeper conference? Probably when you're looking at the grand scheme of things, 1 to 16. But do they have the best teams in between the SEC and Big Ten? No way in hell do they have the best teams, because I watched Indiana just bulldoze through those SEC opponents when we got to the college football playoff. We've seen Oregon be very good. Now, they haven't had the same success in the playoff, but okay, I can just circle Ohio State then, right? They got there a couple years ago and bulldozed through the competition. So, yeah, they are the conference of champions now. I would say the SEC is a deeper conference. But that doesn't mean you're the best conference when the top dogs are always coming out of the Big Ten. They've won the last 3 national championships.
If you're going best teams in college football, when do you get to an SEC team?
3rd or 4th. Yeah. I mean, I think this year Texas might be the best team in America. I would pick them currently to win the title. So I think we could see this conversation shift again this year. Like, I don't think that just because you were the best conference means you always will be the best conference. And I view that way for the SEC, too. The SEC was the best conference in America for probably like 15 years. Mm-hmm. And then they lost that title over the last couple of seasons. And now the Big Ten has earned it. Other news across college football, this is more local. a Mizzou defensive lineman, is trying to get a 5th year of eligibility. Sterling Webb is his name. Now, Sterling Webb is a really solid player for Mizzou, or was over the last couple of seasons. He's not a guy that's going to, change your outlook for the upcoming year. That's why he's not on an NFL roster right now. The fact that he is seeking more eligibility says he's not in an NFL training camp. But, Alex, I am fascinated to see what this saga means for college football at large and, frankly, for college basketball. Like, what's the situation with Mark Mitchell? Could he potentially come back for a fifth year for Mizzou this upcoming season if he doesn't end up landing on an NFL or overseas roster by the time that we get to August, September, October? Could SLU bring back one of the guys from last year's roster and just make it into like some kind of a group of 5 super team heading into the upcoming season? I find this case to be very interesting. It's happening right now. There's a chance Sterling Webb is on the roster by opening night for Mizzou this year. And if he is, it's going to have some pretty significant implications for not only college football, but college basketball once we get to that as well.
What was the rule that was it agreed upon, or was it just tossed out there that was you only have so many years of eligibility?
That was just tossed out there.
So
it's
that wasn't
not actually Congress, if you want to get into the political side of things.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
getting
all
into
right,
Congress.
all right.
No.
They're taking a recess because this is something that Congress does. They just go home for a month.
Dude, I'm not getting into politics. I just asked the question, okay?
I have to
be able
bring
to
that
go
up
home
as a
for a
part of
month.
it. They go home for a month around this time of the year for their summer break, and
Must be nice.
they needed to pass legislation or at least vote on it yesterday in order to get that thing passed. I think it was like Save College Sports Act or whatever it is.
Something along those
They
lines.
did not do that,
The
which
NCAA
means
put money
that
under the table there.
for the next month, we're not going to have any resolution on that,
But
and it will not get passed prior to the 2026 school
But the
year.
rule was going to be if it was agreed upon 4 years, and that's it.
It was 5 years,
Five?
5 years for 5 years of eligibility. That's already in, I
Yeah.
think. Dude, I don't know. Like
was
all
gonna
of
say,
this
this
stuff
is-
is like
this is
what's
why I ask.
rumored, what's real. I think you have 5 years now. It was not supposed to be implemented for guys that have already graduated, but now there's a temporary restraining order that's in place for this specific case.
Here's the thing. I just assume anybody in college athletics can find a way to get back into college athletics. So
It's kind of my guess.
part of me, I don't like it, but there's a part of me now that's just like, you know what? The hell with it. It makes it exciting if you're a college football
Why
fan.
Most of the time with me for college football, college basketball, I'll pay a little attention to the recruiting. At this point, just tell me when we're tipping off or tell me when kickoff is.
Just tell me what my
I'm
roster
going to watch
is.
the game. Yeah, I'll look at the roster and then I'll judge you by what the roster is.
It's
okay?
fun when I see that you get the 5 stars and the 4 stars
Sure.
and the transfers,
And
the
then
big
they
names.
leave.
Just tell me what the roster looks like. But again, it's exciting as like a Mizzou fan. You're getting another guy who's got some experience on a defense that is not a whole lot of
Is this
experiments.
exciting? I just kind of look at this as like, whatever.
He's a good player.
Okay.
He would help them.
You had 11 new faces on your roster.
Well,
I would
that's
take
fair.
a little experience on the defensive side. So but it's to the point now where college football and college basketball, just let's see what it looks like once the season opens.
Let's put it this way. He would start for this Mizzou team. So it does not hurt to get a potential starter back into the mix who had quality games for you a year ago. So if you can add that in and you have even more depth at your defensive tackle position, that's objectively a good thing. And he especially helps against the run. And that's going to be a big deal against some of the teams that they go up against within the SEC. But
Take it.
It's not like getting Luther Burden back for an extra year, right? Or like
Robbie Avila.
if Drew Lock was able to come. Yeah, Mark Mitchell would be a much bigger addition for Mizzou basketball this upcoming year than what Sterling Webb is for the defensive line.
I agree with that.
If they could add back like Keegan Trost, who was their right tackle from a year ago, he's an NFL player. He's on an NFL roster right now. If he wasn't and they could get him back, that would be a more significant addition because of what they're lacking at that spot on the roster. If they could bring back, like a stud level wide receiver who could come back for another year, that would also be a bigger deal. But it's not nothing. It's nice to be able to have a potential starter back into the mix, but it's still up in the air.
the
We
Wild
don't
West,
know if
man.
he's for sure going to be back in the mix or not. You mentioned the transfer portal, all that stuff, like how much more important, more interesting that is. I've talked to Gabe Diarman from Power Mizzou, one of my good buddies, and he's mentioned how the numbers on his site are much higher for transfer portal additions than they are for recruiting additions now. Yeah. And that used to very much not be the case. Recruiting was the number one thing that drove numbers for Power Mizzou, and it's not anymore. Now it's what they do in the transfer portal. That's like free agency.
Exactly. I was just about to say recruiting's basically like the draft.
It's honestly like Major League Baseball, where recruiting becomes like the draft in Major League Baseball because they're so far away from really impacting your roster. And the portal additions are like free agency or trades.
Yep. And that's much more interesting to people. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like, people get upset when we do like hypotheticals, especially when we're around like the trade deadline or like a month from the deadline. It's like, if you're the one that's upset, I hate to tell you, you're in the minority.
Man.
Because that's the thing that sells. Transactions are the thing that sells, man.
Yep.
I'd like to instigate a trade deadline in college athletics. Like, let's start trading players. We love free agency. We love trade
Giving
deadline.
up NIL cap space.
Let's start trading for international cap space where I could get guys that are playing European basketball.
Can you imagine Mizzou basketball heading into the year? They're like, oh, bleep, we've got a cap problem. Mark Mitchell wants to come back, and we don't have money for him.
We got to trade him. We got to trade him.
We need to do an extra scholarship.
No, we're not trading Mark Mitchell. We got to trade for our current roster.
Oh.
We've spent too much money. We don't have enough to bring this guy back when he wants to return.
Nobody cares about the recruiting now. Let's create a trade deadline and free agency just like every other sport we love.
Amazing. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we'll dive into the junk drawer. Brad Thompson joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Cubs yesterday 4-2 as they've dropped 3 of 4 at home against Chicago. They now head to Toronto where they'll start a 3-game set tonight. 6:07 will be first pitch. Kyle Leahy on the mound for St. Louis. Dylan Cease will get the start for Toronto. And the Cardinals will be calling up Quinn Mathew to make his season debut as he will get the start on Saturday for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
With Alex and T1, I'm BK. Happy for our weekly conversation with our friend, the Cardinals analyst for Cardinals TV. He's Brad Thompson joining us here on the show via the Kiley and Thompson hotline. BT, are you up in Toronto for this series this weekend?
I am. I have not had any poutine yet. I don't know any other things that I have to have. Although I did do a little research the other day during the ball game that maybe wasn't going the greatest when it was like 7-0. We did have a poutine conversation, and then I found another item that I want to try. It's called a beaver tail.
Oh yeah,
it's like like a fried dough, like cinnamon and stuff. That sounds pretty good. Kind of like a funnel cake type thing, but flat. I don't know. I want to try one of those too.
Herbs and Joey tried one a couple years ago, and they were talking about it. Joey said it was pretty good.
Ketchup chips are a big
gotta
thing,
be.
right?
It's fried dough.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, ketchup chips are a thing.
Yeah, I think that's a Canadian thing.
Yeah, like it's like fried, like kettle cooked chips, but like tomato. Yeah, nasty. Don't do that, BT.
Yeah.
Go find a curling
I mean,
area though. Go curling a little bit.
If there's I mean all the respect to anybody who does curling, but I do think that if there's any like Olympic sport that average Joe could just put a little time into and then become an Olympian, I think it's curling. Is that too far off?
Oh yeah, hard disagree. I feel like that's like hard. You got to be able to stay on your
feet.
You
walk on the ice and then you sweep.
Have you ever tried to walk on the ice and put muscle into it?
I mean, I've tried to walk on that. You know they have special shoes.
It's basically shuffleboard on ice. So if you're going to
it's not basically shuffleboard. Shuffleboard, you could just push it. You got to be like scraping that ice to slow it down.
It is. It's basically shuffleboard on ice. It's actually if you're the pusher.
Yeah. See, this is.
I'm just saying it's doable, guys. I'm just saying you don't have to run a crazy 40 time. You don't have to bench press 225.
Correct.
You just have to be able to stand on ice and then scrape it and then yell at each other, hey! And then I think that's left and right, and be good to go.
No, you guys
to
are
be
sounding
clear,
like
BT, I agree with you.
you guys
I'm
are
not
sounding
arguing against you whatsoever.
You guys are sounding like T-Bone out here thinking he can hit a 100-mile-an-hour pitch.
No, that's stupid.
Oh, that's stupid.
I'm on the same page with BT
We're
today.
all on the same page there, BT.
All right, BT, since you are in Toronto, you'll be able to see Quinn Mathew make his debut tomorrow afternoon. We were talking about it earlier today. The hype is real there, man. I mean, it's a really exciting thing to see Quinn Mathew. Let's start out with this, just the obvious question. What are you most excited about to see with him? What gets you the anticipation level for Quinn Mathew?
Well, for me, man, it's just it's kind of a broader answer, but it's another glimpse of the future. That's what this has been all about, is what is this organization going to build towards? And one of the things that we've been talking about quite a bit is some of the arms that have been coming up through the organization, some of the swing and miss that has been needed. We all know that this is the guy a couple of years ago that led the minor leagues in strikeouts, had over 200 strikeouts in the minors. I want to say that he's the first Cardinal to do that since Rick Ankiel back in the day. So like that part of it is super exciting. He's putting together good numbers now. I'm very excited to get a chance to get a glimpse at the future when it comes to Quinn Mathew. And what I really want to just kind of watch is, how does he respond to this? It's your big league debut. There's so many variables, right? Major league debut in Canada. There's the emotions around it. Certainly, I'm sure he'll have family and friends that are in attendance. There's a lot to take in. One of the biggest hurdles that Quinn Mathew has overcome this year, I believe, is probably on the more mental side, where he's been able to dig in, be able to make adjustments a little bit faster, not be so hard on himself. That was something a couple of years ago that he would just beat himself down a little bit. I feel like the confidence has been through the roof for him this season. So I can't wait to see what that looks like, how it translates to a big league game. Like, there's some real tangible excitement around it.
Do you think this is the start, BT, of us seeing that new era of Cardinals pitching, to where they've put so much thought and work into putting more swing and miss stuff throughout their minor league system? And a lot of the guys, I would imagine, may not make it up this year, but by next season around this time, we may be talking about more Quinn Mathews in the rotation.
Yeah, I do. And I think you have to. Like, when you're looking at this organization, I feel like that's one of the biggest things that stands out has been the lack of swing and miss. And it's one of the things that they've poured the most assets into. And it's not just the people that they've been collecting. And certainly that's a part of it. When you're looking at some of the drafting they've done, especially recently in the last couple of years, some of the pieces that they've traded for over the last couple of years, like, they're looking for stuff for sure. But one of the biggest changes organizationally in the last year plus is that they've really poured into the pitching side of development. So whether it's the hiring of their new pitching coordinator, it's having pitching labs, pitch shaping, all of your slow motion cameras, all of the things that these guys need to get to the next level, to tweak something. All of the things, by the way, that many of the organizations that have been having a lot of pitching success over the last few years, they already had. They had these things in place. The Cardinals kind of fell behind on some of that. They poured a lot of significant assets into that. And it's so they can develop their guys, get them to the big leagues, and have that swing and miss that they've been so dearly missing. So I think it's a really exciting time. And, yeah, I do, Alex. I think that we're starting to see it, and we'll continue to see more and more of these guys with that swing and miss.
This is the most hyped Cardinals pitcher debut since blank, BT.
Oh, I suck at these. I don't know. Probably Brad Thompson if you had to pick one.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. Like, I was you guys probably even have a better feel for this. I mean, you're talking about it for hours and hours a day. Like, has there been the clamoring all season for Quinn Mathews?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There has?
100%.
Yeah. All right, well, good.
BT,
well, then you tell me. Who is it the most hype one since?
We mentioned earlier today, the only guys that I can really think of that got people super excited in recent memory were like Alex Reyes, Jack Flaherty. Oh, wow. You go back to that era and you're talking about, what's his face? Luke Weaver.
Yeah,
Waka's even before then. That's like the previous wave. Before then you go to like Carlos. But, yeah, I think it's been a minute, man.
Well, and it's exciting to have the clamoring for that, and then now let's see how it grows, right? So, and we'll see who the next one is. Who's the next one we're going to be excited about? Certainly, Liam Doyle finds himself on that list, and Saintcha and Tanner Franklin a little bit further down the road. Like, this is what it should look like, and this is kind of how the organization for a long time had it. It just seemed like every year you're going to have a new guy that steps up and is able to jump into whether it's the rotation or the bullpen and have some success. I think they're building more and more towards that.
BT, speaking of those arms that we're seeing in the minor leagues right now, a lot of that is from Heim acquiring them and working with John Mozeliak to identify that talent. And with this trade deadline quickly approaching, where's your confidence level at and intrigue at knowing that Heim is in charge of what could be a pretty big deadline for the Cardinals?
Yeah, both are high, right? Like, confident in the fact that he knows this organization a whole lot better than I do, and his front office has really been able to dig in over the last couple of years and evaluate their own players, right? Like here's what we have. Here are our needs. They've attended to, as we've talked about, from a coaching standpoint and from a data standpoint, like, they've got all of the right pieces around for these guys to have success. So I think that this is going to be one where I feel like, just outside looking in, a fairly active trade deadline for the Cardinals. There are some pieces that I'm sure many teams are calling about. Obviously, we all were focused on Dustin May's 5 innings the other day and him getting hugs and handshakes from everybody in the organization. It's very clear what the thought process is with him. There are some bullpen arms. There's certainly some intrigue about some of the Cardinals position players, right? So I think that Heim has been very, very transparent when it comes to what he is trying to do. He's trying to build for the future, and he's trying to build sustainable success. So if there's something that comes across he and his department's desk that is going to make this organization better for the future, it might hurt for the right now, but better for the future, there's a good chance he'll pull the trigger on it, right? And as a Cardinal fan and a fan base listening right now who has seen the great times and been through all of these and realizes what it feels like to have that sustainable success every year you feel like you're in it, to me, that's exciting right now. So I'm sure that they're listening to pretty much anything about most players.
We're talking to Brad Thompson for just another minute here on 101 ESPN. BT, have you seen the story about Harrison Bader this morning?
I saw some. I didn't read I know he got in the scooter accident, but I didn't see it. Something popped up on The Athletic, but give me the Cliff's notes.
Okay. Please allow me.
I can't wait to hear your response.
Yes.
To read this for you. Former Phillies outfielder Harrison Bader is out for the remainder of the season with the San Francisco Giants. He was in a scooter accident where he reportedly drove his scooter into the back of a fire engine, and the fire engine then ran over his injured foot. Witnesses are saying that he was seen drinking at various points of the night prior to the scooter accident. Now, obviously, you shouldn't operate a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. Like, let's set that part aside momentarily. Obviously, that's a huge deal, but just for the sake of what we do, we're talking about the baseball side. Can you remember a crazier injury in baseball than being out for the year because you drove your scooter into the back of a fire engine and then the fire engine ran over your foot?
Yeah, that's on the short list. Talk about your luck. Like, hitting a parked vehicle, could see it happening, and then said vehicle runs you over.
And not just a vehicle, a fire truck.
A fire truck. Like, that came out of nowhere. It's not like they're inconspicuous, right? Like, oh, my God.
Where'd that thing come from?
Yeah, I will say, boy, those scooters are a lot of fun until that ends up happening. That sucks right there. That's got to be some sort of contractual issue.
Did you have any ridiculous stories with guys that got hurt either in your minor league career or when you were up in the big leagues?
Nothing too crazy. I mean, everybody's heard the Matheny stabbing himself one. Had some players hurt themselves.
I love how we preconditioned that. As everybody's heard Matheny stabbing one.
There was a Royals player.
He was opening a package with a hunting knife, caught himself in the hand. That will happen every once in a while. I did have a couple of teammates who shall remain nameless that we used to have a thing where in the minor leagues, I don't know why we did this in AA, but everybody had these airsoft guns, and they would just shoot each other. And a couple of them got in a nice heated battle, and then they got angry, and one of them tackled another one through a plate glass window, and some gashes came through on that one. But, boys being boys.
Yeah.
But this one kind of takes the cake with that.
I remember a Royals player recently threw out his back by carrying his luggage.
Didn't somebody hurt their finger playing basketball? Or is that a different sport?
I don't recall.
I swear, maybe it might have been NFL.
I mean, weird stuff happens.
Yeah.
You've had guys have to go on the IL for sneezing. Like, you've seen that in the past. Like, you sneeze and, blow a rib out or something.
That is an aggressive sneeze.
Matthew Boyd went on the IL earlier this year. Now, he kind of tried to deny it, but reports were that he blew out his knee or injured his knee playing with his children.
Classic.
That's what I was thinking of. It was like picking up their kid or something like that.
That's tough.
Hey, at least he's a good father, you know.
Right. It's true.
That's good. Play with your kids.
Yeah, you can't blame him for that. You're not going to hurt your contract by doing that versus getting hit by a fire truck on a scooter.
Apparently, the Giants are trying to get out of this money. Vince Coleman, a lot of people are bringing that one up, the tarp here in St. Louis.
Golly. Yeah, that one sucks. That sucked for sure. And fortunately, we don't have to deal with any tarps like that anymore, so that's good.
Thank God. All right, BT, we'll let you get out of here, man. Enjoy the weekend up in Toronto. Let us know how the chips are. Let us know how the poutine is.
Will do. I'm going to scooter over to the ballpark in a few minutes, so I'll let you know how hard these fire trucks are in Toronto, too.
I've heard they're big.
Be good, BT. Take it easy, man.
All right, see you guys.
Appreciate you. That's Brad Thompson joining us here on 101 ESPN.
Have you ever had any dumb injuries? Most one I can think of is when I dropped that safe on my toe and broke it.
I coughed too hard and gave myself a hernia and had surgery.
This is the most BK story.
You coughed too hard and gave yourself a hernia?
That actually might be worse than mine.
Really?
I mean, I dropped a safe on my toe, but that's bad.
I got sick and I had a bad cough, and I was supposed to go to the doctor the next day to get it taken care of. And I just coughed so hard. And, like if you're lifting weights, you kind of are compressing in your abdomen. So you're doing that when you cough. And I coughed so hard. And the next thing I know, I was like, ow, there's kind of a pinch down there. And then there was like almost a ball essentially sticking out in that area.
My God.
And then I missed most of the summer playing baseball because I had surgery.
What did your doctor say when you told him I got a hernia from coughing?
I'm sure it's not the first time you said that.
He said it's normal.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I tell you, when I get sick now and I start coughing a lot, I'm very nervous.
I was going to say, watch yourself coughing, ladies and gentlemen.
So you guys know the one about me playing downstairs with Luca, running around, and I broke my toe. So there's that one.
That's worse than the safe on mine. So yeah.
The more notable one, I was in high school. I was playing high school football, and two things happened. One, when I was squatting, I had a bulging disc because of the squat. Two, this one's more ridiculous.
Lift too much.
Two, I was sleeping and had a cramp in my calf right up in the back, like the insertion point on the back of your knee. Based upon that and some other stuff, I ended up with a partially torn meniscus.
Good
and I have a Baker's cyst in the back of my knee now because of that partially torn meniscus. So cramp plus getting up out of bed that night when I was like 16 years old has led to a 20-year injury.
Nice.
That has had a lasting effect.
Katie twisted her ankle twice in 3 months, the same ankle, stepping out of our front door. I'm like, you need to stop because people are going to start wondering why you keep showing up with boots.
This does not include a scooter, but one night after being at the bars in Columbia, we were walking around downtown. We were drinking.
Water.
We were hammered. Going back to, for any of you that are familiar with Mizzou's campus, we went to an East Campus house. We were going to one of my buddies' places to continue drinking for the night. Bars closed. We were going over there. Going to have a nightcap or whatever. It was me, Kara, a couple other friends, and we were walking over towards East Campus from downtown Columbia, and Kara took a wrong turn, wrong walk, whatever, and like snapped her foot on the curb and broke her foot. I thought it was just a rolled ankle. She got back to the house and was like, "Oh my God, this is really hurting." And I was like, "Oh, it's just a rolled ankle. You'll be fine."
What a guy.
Sent a picture to her brother, who was a nurse at the time, and he was sleeping because it was like 2 a.m. Woke up the next morning. It's like huge. It's swelled up the size of a basketball. And we realized then, oh, something more is going on here. He had texted her back and said, "Yeah, that's broken." She went to the hospital. She was on crutches for like the next
She
month.
said, "I'm going to marry this guy."
That's right. That's right.
She said, "This is my future husband."
Somebody said, "I refuse to believe BK played high school football. He didn't have, he must have been the punter or the holder for field goals." No, I was a tight end. I wasn't a particularly good one, but I did play high school football nonetheless. We went to state my junior year. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK.
Played for a week, and then I said, "I am way too skinny for the sport."
Not because of me, by the way. I was not a particularly good player. I was like the...
He was doing a lot there.
Let's look up his high school stats. Somebody find it on the internet.
I was a tight end who didn't catch balls.
Well, what were you then?
A blocking tight end.
Unbelievable.
I've never suggested that I was anything other than a mediocre athlete. I've never sold myself as
But yet
anything
he says
otherwise.
shuffleboard is an easy sport to learn.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I could go play shuffleboard at a bar today.
Not
So
that
could you.
shuffleboard, curling.
You said shuffleboard. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Junk Drawers next. Alex, do you get any anxiety about late flights coming back prior to you working the next day?
Oh, yes. When I went to Boston for the Stanley Cup, the whole thing, because I was at KMOX still, and my thing with me going was I will be back the next day to host Cardinals pregame. It was at 1:15, so I was on the air at like 12. Game ended in Boston. The flight we took was at like 5 a.m. the next morning, and so went to the airport, got in the flight to Boston. For some reason, it redirected to New York, and we took New York to St. Louis. The flight got delayed in Boston, so we landed in New York, and the connecting flight to St. Louis left 20 minutes from when we landed in New York.
Geez.
And so it was me and my buddy Sam, who was doing video work for KMOX at the time. And at New York, whichever airport it was, I don't remember which one it was, but we got off and you had to take a tram to get to the next terminal. And so we had 20 minutes to get off the plane, on the tram, get to the terminal. Otherwise, I was going to get fired because I was going to miss the Cardinals. I made it to the plane with 1 minute remaining. It's probably where my anxiety truly started and why I got on medicine down the road, because that sucked.
Sunday night, I'm coming back from New York, going out there for a family friend's funeral this weekend, and I am on the last flight back from Newark. Now, there's a few things that are playing into my anxiety.
Never a good start, but go ahead.
One, I'm driving from New Jersey, about 45 minutes away from the Newark airport to the Newark airport. I've never been to the Newark airport before. Two, I'm returning a car when I go to the Newark airport. And three, it is the last flight out of Newark. So if anything happens, I'm not coming back on Sunday night, and that means that I will almost certainly miss Monday's show, which just so happens to be deadline day here in St. Louis.
Oh, boy.
So, fingers
Wowzer.
crossed that we don't have an all-time BKO, which is very much in play.
T-Bone, I
And
guess I'm
end up
hosting Redbird Report with you, big boy.
having to do the show on Monday from my stepbrother's apartment that he just moved into this week in Brooklyn. And I have to figure out a way to get home on Monday evening instead of Monday or Sunday night.
Yeah,
There's no way this won't go wrong.
Yeah, no, this is going wrong. I just remember, too, my daughter plays soccer game. I can't even help you out on this Redbird Report show that night, T-Bone. So, you guys are on your own. You're going to be hosting from Newark.
I'll be fine by Monday night.
You hope.
Well, I'll be able to get a flight back here by Monday night. Monday morning prior to 11 a.m., that one would be a little tougher.
I think you're underestimating the power of the BKO.
Typically, you're not able to leave until like 8-ish for the flights the next day, and there are very limited flights available from either LaGuardia or Newark to St. Louis, especially direct flights.
T-Bone, how much anxiety do you have with all of this?
Quite a bit.
For 6 o'clock, we'll be fine. We'll be able to do a live Redbird Report breaking down the trade deadline. That's not going to be a problem. 11 a.m., BK and Ferrario, that one I have a few more questions about.
I love how confident you are with the late one, too, man. When the BKO hits, it does the impossible.
No, we'll be A-okay. We'll be A-okay with
keep
that.
leaning into it.
He's Alex, that's T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Bacon Wrapped Wiener says, BK just needs to drive. Suck it up. If I try to drive starting at like, I think my flight leaves at 9 or 10 o'clock. I think my flight leaves at 10. So if I were to get to the airport and just like drive back in the rental car starting at 10 p.m., I don't think I would get here prior to the start of our show. I think it's like a 14-hour drive.
He'd be doing the show
from
on
Newark.
his phone while driving home, like we did the day doing a segment while driving back from Centene.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea to drive. Don't do that.
Somebody said, BK, I fly to Newark every month for work. Car rental return is super easy as long as if you don't have clear, get it. I've got pre-check. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be A-okay.
Oh, God. See? This is what I'm talking about. How confident you are is the problem right now.
Everything's going to be
It's all going to be good. How many times have you said that before when it's turned out
definitely
okay?
see us getting a text around like 9 o'clock on Sunday. Guys.
Oh, that's going to happen.
I missed my flight.
I see you getting a text at like 4 o'clock Monday.
I'm not worried about me missing my flight. I'm worried about the potential of it getting delayed, and then I'm screwed and there's no flight to come back on. That's the potential problem here. Me missing my flight, that's not going to be an issue. I'll be all right. I'll make sure that I'm back in plenty of time.
I like the way you think, buddy.
Coming up next, do the Cardinals have a player who makes them feel the way that Cubs fans feel about PCA? Because, boy, did I hear an interesting conversation about PCA on Chicago radio yesterday. I'll let you hear it next here on 101 ESPN. Alex, you're going to see Good Charlotte this weekend?
Which is a weird thing to
God.
say because they're the opener for Avenged Sevenfold, but I will be leaving when Avenged Sevenfold comes out because I have no interest in them. I have all of the interest in Good Charlotte.
I am so jealous.
Yep. And then 2 weekends from Saturday, I think it's Sunday actually, I will be going to see Simple Plan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got tickets. Simple Plan and Bowling for Soup.
I'd go see Simple Plan with you.
No, man, I'm going with my wife. Sorry.
Okay.
If you and
I'll
your
just invite
wife would
myself,
like,
but I would love to go with you.
No, I don't like no. I'm gonna go.
If
with
I wasn't
Katie.
out of town this weekend, I would be going to Good Charlotte tomorrow, and then I'd drive out to Kansas City for Sunday and go to the
Mumford and Sons?
Mumford and Sons concert. That would be.
I
hell of
wouldn't
a
be doing
weekend.
that, but yeah,
Got resolution on that, by the way.
people don't.
I made $5 off of my.
Oh, you didn't have to pay 200%.
No, made $5 off of them. So.
Yeah.
How did you not have to pay 200%?
I just had to pay the price that they would have paid for my tickets, which is fine. Ended up selling them for more on a different site, and we're good to go.
All I know is I'm going to be reliving.
Ideally would have made more than that, but what are you going to do?
Reliving my my high school era over the next 3 weeks, so I am pumped.
T-Bone,
Yes.
He has
Brandon.
no idea who any of those bands
you've
are.
heard of Good Charlotte, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
I did hear one of their songs, I think, yesterday with Ryder, but I'm not 100% sure of that. He played a song for somebody that he's going to go see soon.
Okay.
And I'd recognized one of them. With Jamie. Jamie was in the room as well.
BK's asked what said. BK can help you sell those tickets just in case, Alex.
No. He's not allowed around me because if I go with him, Simple Plan's like singer gets hurt and can't come on stage and I miss the concert.
Real quick, baseball-related news. There's an update on the Mets. It sure seems like this is the way that teams are going to be approaching this over the weekend. The Mets have decided to scratch Freddie Peralta from his next start, which basically means that guy gone. They're scratching him as
He'll be a Brewer.
had interest that's picking up across Major League Baseball. Where do you guys think Freddie Peralta ends up?
I'll say Brewer.
I think Tampa Bay. I think if they don't get Scooble, I think they, for the report was, hey, there's teams that look at him and think they can fix him. I was like, oh, that's Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's the one that thinks they see something
Got the
and can
Cubs.
fix him.
Reunite with his former manager.
I could see that one. Yeah.
Council gives him good reviews, says, hey, I know how to fix this guy. I can get him back to what he was in Milwaukee. We can give up less than what we would need to in order to get one of these other studs. We don't end up getting Tarek Skubal, but we'll go get Freddie Peralta. And I think that's where he ultimately lands. All right. Alex, yesterday on ESPN 1000 up in Chicago, they were having a conversation about PCA. I want you to hear this because, boy, do I love feeling like this as a fan. Take a listen.
I got a text last night from someone who made a very bold statement. And I mean very bold. Our friend Reed Rooney from Bleacher Nation, he said that Peter Crow-Armstrong will be the best non-pitching baseball player of our lives other than Barry Bonds. I said, wait a minute. Said he will be the best non-pitching baseball player of our lives other than Barry freaking Bonds. I think you've got to encapsulate the position he plays and the level he plays it. Like, he might never be the hitter Miguel Cabrera was, but he might be a better baseball player than Miguel Cabrera because what he does as a defensive center fielder. The one valuable thing that the StatCast era gives you with all the cameras and all that technology is it gives you an amazing amount of tracking data that is like, it's at the very least, it's interesting. And if you look at the StatCast data on PCA, on the way he moves and the ground he covers, he really has no peer.
Yeah, what are these noises?
I mean, the only guy that's going to come close to him in this era is going to be Kevin Kiermaier, who is phenomenal and as good as any defensive player I've ever seen, for sure. Kiermaier's the only guy that I think is going to have a historical comp to PCA. And he's already doing things from a defensive standpoint that are going to shatter StatCast era records. And he's just getting started.
What just happened? The best player
Of our era. Not named Barry Bonds. Obviously, you have to put Barry Bonds into a separate category.
Well, obviously. T-Bone, how do you feel about Barry Bonds?
I cheated, so like,
Mike Trout,
shoot him to the moon.
step to the side.
Pujols.
Albert Pujols, step to the side.
Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Derek
literally.
Jeter, step to the side. A-Rod, step to the side. You guys are frauds. The real best player of this era is Pete Crow-Armstrong.
But then-
among players that did not use steroids, Pete Crow-Armstrong, best player of this era, according to ESPN 1000 up in Chicago.
But then also mentioned Kevin Kiermaier and saying,
I think you guys got lost in the sauce on that one, Tone. Kevin Kiermaier is arguably the best defender of this era, and that's what they were talking about. They were saying defensively, Pete Crow-Armstrong has the defensive value of Kevin Kiermaier.
Pete Crow has the defensive value. I understand that, but I don't know how that translates into he's going to be the best player of our era, better other than Barry Bonds.
Because he brings so much value offensively and defensively and as a base runner. I think that was the argument that they were trying to make there. They did it a little clumsily.
Are they forgetting, though, of what he did last season in the second half?
I mean, yeah.
I don't think any of those other players on that list, not named Barry Bonds, had those issues at times.
I will say this. If you go by wins above replacement, T-Bone loves the numbers. There is only one player, position player-wise, that has been worth more wins above replacement than Pete Crow-Armstrong over the last 2 seasons, and it's Bobby Witt Jr., and it's by 0.2. He has been a more valuable, according to this number. It's one metric, take it or leave it, totally understand. But according to FanGraphs' version of wins above replacement, the only player that has been worth more than him is Bobby Witt Jr. Behind him includes Aaron Judge, Corbin Carroll, Dylan Dingler, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, all of the other best players in baseball. They're all behind Pete Crow-Armstrong. He does bring huge value.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with that.
I don't think there's an argument to be made that he's even in the inclusion in the conversation of best players of this era. But I'm not particularly interested in having that conversation because it's crazy. It's just an insane thing to say.
They just were lacking content, apparently.
Is there a Cardinals player that has made you feel this way recently? Or is there a player that's coming up that makes you feel this way where you're like, man.
Are we tempering the expectations, though, not feeling as if they're going to be the best player ever since Barry Bonds?
Yeah, sure. Just makes you think irrationally, right?
You said Blake Snell for Quinn Matthews yesterday,
so his profile was the same.
He's probably there for you.
I meant more by what his lines are going to look like.
We were talking, when was this? A little while ago about Jordan Walker and what he can become. You look down in the minor league system and man, Liam Doyle, you can dream on that, right? I think T-Bone said the other day he wouldn't trade Liam Doyle for Hunter Green. Hunter Green has been a top 5 Cy Young candidate in the National League within the last couple of seasons. There's dreaming that happens there. Even if you think this is ridiculous what they're saying about Pete Crow-Armstrong, I do. They're dreaming on what this could be, not just for today, but for the next decade of, oh my God, you look at the well-rounded nature of his game. Best defender in baseball, one of the best base runners in baseball, huge power, makes good enough contact at least, and is 40% above league average offensively. You put all of that together, and there's real reason to dream on it, and he's only 23 years old, I think it is. So he's got a long time to be in his prime with the Cubs here so that you could dream on it all. Who are Cardinals players either now, recently, or in the future that you have that same belief in, Alex?
I mean, the only one that I can really think of would be Rodriguez. It's Rodriguez now. Walker's probably the obvious one. I don't know if Weatherholt gets people excited the same way that Pete Crow-Armstrong does. Maybe he does. Baez's power gets you super excited, but the all-around player would be Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think it's probably Walker right now. And I would get Rodriguez because Rodriguez, that's a special bat that's coming up through the system. You're looking at a guy that's already at Double-A, and he's, 20 years old? He shouldn't be at Double-A. He should be, in the low A ball right now. Yet he's playing up at Double-A and has gone on a tear to where he might even get Triple-A by the time we get done with this season. But I think it's probably Walker because, when I'm thinking of, PCA, guy that would, you'd get excited about, you have to have all the tools to do that, right? And I think Walker's got all the tools. He's got the power. He hits for average. He's a pretty good defender. I think he's going to potentially be a Gold Glove winner in right field at some point in his career. Maybe not this year, but at some point, I think he will be. And he steals bases as well. He's a great base runner as well. He's a guy that could potentially be a 30-30 guy in his career. So I would say it's probably Jordan Walker. Rodriguez is the only reason that I would hesitate on him, even though he's someone that I did bring up in the office as maybe when we were having the conversation. I don't know what he's going to be defensively, and let alone as a base runner. I think to have that guy that everybody talks about for decades, you have to be the 5-tool player, and I just don't know that he's going to be that.
If you could get more power on J.J. Weatherholt, I think Weatherholt fits that perfectly. I just don't know if his power is ever going to be there for Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Does he?
I feel like he does. I think he's excellent defensively. You're talking about a Rookie of the Year conversation. Yeah. Came through the system super quick. He's got contact. He's got speed. He gets on base. I just think you need more power.
Does he do anything special?
I mean, if you did all 5 of those things, I think you kind of do.
Because, like, Pete
So if you have all the
Armstrong is
tools
a special defender.
I mean, isn't J.J. Weatherholt's wins above replacement inflated because of how good he's been
He's
defensively?
been very good. He unfortunately plays a position.
No, for sure.
That doesn't lend itself to that. Like, there are just very few second basemen that you look back at and are like, oh my God, because they were so special defensively at that spot, it stands out. Normally, when you're talking about a special defender, you're talking about short, center, and then maybe third base would be the other one that I would throw into the inclusion. Catcher holds that value as well.
Catcher, you got to be like the elite of the elite.
Yeah, you got to be in
defensively.
Yachty's.
Yeah, and that's where I don't put any. I mean, I think more catchers are known for their offense than their defense.
No doubt.
And I don't know if they have somebody in their system for the positions that you just mentioned.
Is it fair to say the only guys that have really made you feel this way in recent memory for the Cardinals are Walker, Taveras, and Alex Reyes? Is there anybody else that you would throw into that mix?
I think the only name I would throw in there, now he only did it once and it took a while to get there, would be O'Neal. I mean, that year he had in 21.
Okay,
I mean, he had true power. I mean, he's an incredible slugger.
Paul DeYoung had it his first year, too. Power in playing the shortstop
I didn't ever
position.
feel, though, like O'Neal, he had the speed, the power, the defense, all of those different things. So, yeah.
Like a linebacker.
Yeah, that was problematic.
DeYoung was like just power.
Yeah.
You know, he hit for a decent amount of power at the shortstop position, but I never thought there was like more there. He wasn't a top prospect or anything like that. So yeah, O'Neal, maybe you could have convinced yourself at the time.
And I think Jack too, after that 19 second half. I mean, that was special. I mean, not many guys do that, and he did that.
Waka in 2013 also.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's always been just spurts, right? I mean, it's never been anything that's been super long sustained for the St. Louis Cardinals. Even like Walker, right? Like, I brought up Walker as the guy that I think could be this.
That's the hope.
He'd have to have like a 40 home run season, right? I mean, he'd have to really show that power tool, because that's the one area where I would say he would be elite at.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, what he's doing is ridiculous, man. I know Cardinals fans are going to hate this guy for the next God only knows how long, but you got to tip your cap sometimes. He's putting together a ridiculous season, and he looks silly on the field sometimes. Like, some of the antics are annoying if he's not on your team. He has 24 home runs and 26 stolen bases on the season right now. We have played 110 games, and he's already there. He's on pace this year for more than 30 home runs and more than 30 stolen bases. We talked about this the other day, the list of players that have done 35 and 35. It's not a long one. He's probably going to add himself to that list this year. He's 24 years old. He leads the league in wins above replacement. I think there's a real chance Pete Crow Armstrong wins the MVP this year. I thought that would have been a silly thing to say as recently as a few weeks ago. Now that Shohei is not pitching, and I don't know exactly what his status is going to be just in general for the rest of the year, I don't think it's crazy to say that Pete Crow Armstrong could ultimately overtake him for the MVP in the National League this year. And I didn't think that was even a possibility for anybody prior to this season.
And you know what's so impressive about that? Because I'm with you. I think there's a chance he wins MVP, especially as Ohtani's dealing with his issues, not pitching, and now he's starting to miss games as well. Like, he wasn't in the lineup yesterday for the Dodgers. What's impressive about this, through the first 30 games of the year, he was at a 648 OPS. He wasn't hitting for any power. He was slugging 339. His on-base was 309, and he was hitting 241. So the average was okay, but because he doesn't draw walks, his on-base was low, and then he just took off from there and has been unbelievable.
I know we laughed at the thing that they said, where, like, hey, this guy has the chance to become one of the greatest players of this era. And it does seem ridiculous. He's done this for 2 years, right? Like, he's 24 years old. He's done it for 2 years. Give me a longer sample size before we get there. I mean, if he can sustain what he has been for the last 2 years, he has a chance to be the best player of the next decade. There is a scenario where that exists for Pete Crow Armstrong, and, like, the Cubs fans can dream on that. And that's what we need the Cardinals to be able to have.
You're losing me there.
What do you mean?
He won't be the best player of this generation.
I would be surprised by it. But what he's been over the last 2 years in the National League.
He'll never top Ohtani. I'm sorry. He'll never top Ohtani for the best player. He's 31. He's still got a while to go, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he's just never going to top Ohtani. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was a two-way player.
Shohei's 32.
Okay, I don't care. Like,
I mean, I'm kind of with
If
you.
he started it today and go for the next decade, Shohei's probably got, 4 years left of his prime? 3 years left of his prime?
I think he's going to age gracefully with his bat.
You also have to look at what he's done the first 6 years of this decade.
I'm talking about in this decade, the next decade from 2026 to 2036.
But you also have to take in the last 2 years when Pete Crow Armstrong got to the major leagues if you're going to do that. Like, if you're going to
I'm talking about from now, starting in 2026 and going to 2035. In this decade span.
I think Pete Crow Armstrong over the next decade can be one of the best players in baseball. The best is just too far for me. He will not top Ohtani, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
There is no way to top him. I mean, he is a special player. I don't even, if he stays healthy.
Pete will be at the end of this decade the age that Shohei Ohtani is today.
Yeah, and I just don't. I think Ohtani's still going to be the better piece from 10 years from now. That guy is special. Now, he may not pitch for the entirety of the 10 years, because he is dealing with a knee and a bicep issue, and he's got a 980 OPS.
It's insane. He's unbelievable.
He's the best player I've ever seen in PCA. His value might beat him, and that's the problem with WAR. Ohtani is still the best player of this generation and will be for the next decade.
I agree. I think there's a pretty good chance that Shohei is literally the best player I'll ever see. And I'm including Barry Bonds in that, because of what he's able to do as a pitcher. He does some Barry Bonds type of stuff as a hitter, and also he's one of the 5 best pitchers in Major League Baseball. So Shohei will be the best, in my opinion, player of this era. But for the next decade, if you wanted to make the case that Pete Crow Armstrong could be that guy, I mean, there's at least a case to be made there. And that's something, what I'm saying here is not like necessarily a Pete Crow Armstrong take so much as the Cardinals have to contend with that in their own division now. And they've got to find their version of that. That is how you become a legitimate championship contender in 2026. The Phillies have that with Bryce Harper, have had it with Bryce Harper.
Think about
the
it.
Dodgers have it with Shohei. The Cubs have that right now with Pete Crow Armstrong. The Brewers have a version of that with Jacob Mizorowski and the alien kind of stuff that he's doing on the mound.
I think 3 of the 5 teams in your division might have something like that.
Yep.
Mizorowski, if he stays healthy and can be this dominant, now that's a huge if on the pitching side. He would be this. If you want to look at Pittsburgh, I know he hadn't had a good year. Guys, Paul Skeens is still really freaking good.
Hell, Ellie De La Cruz kind of has some of this.
He's got the potential to do it. I didn't put him on there because I just don't know if at this point he's going to do it as a Red. I think he may have to go do it somewhere else.
Part of that problem
a Dodger.
Part of that problem is you got to be on winning teams too to get that. And I don't know if the Reds or the Pirates are going to get that.
Trout was never on a good team.
Yeah, I disagree.
And I think Trout's one of the best players I've ever seen in my lifetime, and he's never been on a
is
winning
Ellie De La
team.
Cruz doing what Mike Trout did when he was with the Angels? And
That's what I think. If it's anything about Ellie De La Cruz, it's nothing with the team he's on. It's more he just didn't get there as a player. Yeah. That's what I was saying.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. In 10 minutes, we'll get into One's Gotta Go. But coming up next, want to kind of recap some of the biggest things that have happened in the last 24 hours when it comes to the trade deadline and why we're seeing basically zero activity right now in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about that next year on BK and Ferrario. Alex and I are just reliving our middle school days.
I am going to have whiplash and lose my voice tomorrow.
When
Plain and
did
simple.
The Young and the Hopeless come out for you? That was 2002.
So I was 12,
man.
so I would have been...
That was 25 years ago.
I would have been 5th grade, 6th grade.
I was in, I want to say 7th grade when that happened. So you must have been older.
I
You
had
must
to
have been in
old.
high school.
Well, no, because high school...
When did you graduate?
2009. So 2005 is when I started high school.
Was I in like 5th grade when that came out? Oh,
yeah, so I was probably in 6th or 7th grade when that came out.
Jeez.
T-Bone wouldn't give us another 30 so we could rock
T-Bone,
out.
what'd you think? We were listening to some of that. We asked for another minute.
I was being tortured.
Oh, shut it, tortured.
I'm so
That's some
glad
of
I
the
didn't put
better
another
music
minute.
you listen to.
I couldn't listen anymore.
You're going to listen to it in the next break.
I don't think T-Bone would have enjoyed our punk rock phase.
No. It wasn't a phase. You jerk. It was a way of life.
Did you go full emo at any point, or were you just kind of like you listen to the music and
I never
let
went,
other people dress the way they wanted to dress?
I never went full emo, but I did go through a couple of years where I just wore all black all the time.
Did you? Did you have the hair swoop?
No, I never had the hair swoop, but I always wore like black like band t-shirts and like I wore the skinny jeans. So, and I always wore Converse because I was big into Johnny Knoxville and Jackass at the time.
Now I can fix it. I was picturing BK with like frosted tips.
I did have frosted tips, but
I had frosted tips
while jamming in his
That's a different era.
That's boy band stuff.
That's
that
a
was
different era. That's
my bad.
NSYNC, Backstreet Boys,
LFO.
98 Degrees.
My bad.
Remember LFO?
No.
Oh my
Zero
God,
recollection.
really?
LFO?
They only had one good song. Only one good song.
One hit
LFO.
wonder.
No recollection of
One hit
LFO.
wonder. Yeah.
Who was in LFO?
Summer Girls.
Briz Gillis.
I don't know what their names are, man. They were one hit wonder, but it was LF freaking O.
Yeah, no
The
recollection
F
of them.
stood for freaking, except it was a word that I can't say on the radio.
No, it's Light Funky Ones is what their name was.
That's what
apparently.
they want you to believe. That's what they want you to believe, but it's really not.
Who was number one for you in that regard?
NSYNC. Katie
No,
Nice.
sorry. I apologize. Going back to
the
where we
punk
were.
rock. The punk rock. Good Charlotte was up there, but I think Blink was always number one for me. But then Simple Plan was number two. Good Charlotte was right there with Simple Plan, but I felt like Good Charlotte had their album. Simple Plan had like 2 or 3 of them.
I think I was Green Day.
I was never really Green Day.
No?
I was always Blink over Green Day.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was always Blink over Green Day.
T-Bone, have you listened to any of the bands that we just mentioned?
No.
You've heard
I
Blink.
probably know like one song of theirs. Like I know probably a song
You
or
know
two of
Green
Blink.
Day. You're familiar
I know
with their
probably a
work.
song of Green Day. Yeah,
You know
I
Blink.
recognize some of these because like they were on our college radio station. You know, we would play. I had to do a free alternative rock was what we were, and I had to do a freaking radio shift and learn all this stuff.
What a light. God, that was such a good time.
All right, so Alex,
teacher.
Major League Baseball
I
has
don't
its
even care
trade
about this
deadline
anymore, man.
in like 3 days, and nothing's happening. Nothing. Like the big news over the last few days is John Mozeliak made what basically everybody in the industry considers to be a terrible trade.
Did you hear him trying to defend it in the broadcast booth last night?
He basically said, hey, Logan O'Hoppe is terrible, and we don't trust that guy, and we don't want our AAA pitchers throwing to him.
Just side swiping.
You saw a move last night for a fringe middle inning reliever to the Twins. And what else have we seen? I mean,
That's about it.
it's kind of
Scratch. We've seen more pitchers get
scratching.
scratched, like Freddie Peralta's announced scratch, Casey Mize scratched. I wouldn't doubt that Kevin Gossman's listed as the starter for the Blue Jays on Saturday. I'd bet $100 today he's not starting that game. I think he's going to be scratched. Right now, it's just a staring contest, right? I mean, the quote you had from Mark Feinstein, the one we hear every year, where the buyers think the prices are too high and the sellers don't think they're high enough, that's going on right now.
I also think like it's twofold. It's that, and it's also I think there are teams that genuinely don't know what their direction is.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do here? You mentioned the Blue Jays, T-Bone. I agree. I don't think they're likely to buy at the trade deadline. I think they're probably going to sell. What if they have a really great weekend? I mean, what if they win their next couple of games against the Cardinals? Maybe they sweep the Cardinals, right? It's entirely possible that happens. We've seen the Cardinals recently. They'd be 53 and 59. That sounds terrible. There's a chance by the end of the weekend they're like 3 games back.
Also, it's the American League. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
like
3 games back of a wild card spot, and I mean they're out of it in their division because the Rays have been so good. But they could convince themselves, hey, yeah, we can jump basically the AL Central and Seattle. So I'm not sure that they're in full-blown seller mode just yet. It feels that way right now, but I don't know.
I think to that point, I don't know if it's I think there are teams out there, and you mentioned Toronto, they might be an example of this, that are trying to see if there are challenge trades out there or a little bit of buy trades, and then they'll sell some of their rentals later, right? Like I wouldn't doubt that at some point, if we don't see an addition by Toronto over the next 24, 48 hours, they become just sellers. I think there are a lot of teams that are stuck in the middle, like you're saying, that are looking for those kind of, we'll buy a piece from you while you're buying a piece from us.
Sure.
And if they can't find that, then they'll just pivot to, just take all of our rentals, get these guys off our hands.
See, I think there's a chance that those teams will just say, screw it, we'll stick with it. Yep. We're not going to get a ton for our rentals anyways. We'll stick with this, stand on the path right now, and we get to the end of the year, we're going to have the CBA negotiation. We have no idea what next year holds anyways. We'll try to get the added revenue from a playoff spot, and hopefully we're able to do something once we get there. Like I think if you're Baltimore, I think Baltimore just stands pat. They're right now 2.5 games back, guys. They stink. They're a terrible baseball team. They're negative 24 in run differential. You know who else is? Houston. Houston is at 500 right now, 1 game back. If the Cardinals right now were in the American League, they're 3 games back in the NL. They would be a game back of the wild card in the American League right now. They would not be doing the same amount of selling if they were in the AL as they are currently doing in the NL, because you're also behind the Guardians and the Twins, both of whom I'm not entirely sure are good. I'm not sure if they think they're actually good or not. So my prediction for this deadline is it's going to be quite a dud. I think you see Skubal move because he's a rental and they can get a haul for him. Beyond that, I think there's a chance that the Cardinals become the biggest seller in the market this year. And if it goes as I'm anticipating, I think they're going to get some better returns than we're currently expecting, because I don't see very many other teams that A, have good players, and B, are incentivized to sell in a pretty significant way this deadline.
That's kind of where I'm at. I think the Cardinals are going to be the team that everybody comes calling to, because they're willing to trade pretty much anything off of their roster. To whereas I think there's a lot of teams out there that will say, no, we're not going to do it yet, or no, you need to give us your best prospect. And teams just aren't going to do that at the deadline. To where I don't think the Cardinals are that greedy. They're going to try and get as much quality as they possibly can. But they know that nobody else has right-handed bats, catchers, bullpen arms, starting pitchers, players that can play utility positions, outfield positions. They've got everything. And I do think there's going to be a lot of teams in the American League that decide not to sell, which leaves a lot of teams in the National League to look at it and say, all right, well, where are we going with this? And the Cardinals are going to be the one that says, hey, we're ready to sell right now. I think the Marlins are the other one. And then the Marlins are like, look, we know what's out there. We're open for business. Come calling.
Yeah, I think it just depends on if you see anybody kind of shock the market with their controllable pieces, right? I mean, that's the thing that we're waiting to find out. And, like, that could be the Cardinals, to BK's point. Like, if they do deal O'Brien and Nootbaar, like, they could get some pretty good returns. If you're trading guys for 2 or 3 postseason runs, and Nootbaar, position player, not as valuable, but O'Brien, I mean, we see how much teams value bullpen arms at this time of the year. So I think the deadline's still going to be exciting, because there are a lot of big names that, even though they're rentals, are out there, right? Freddie Peralta's a big name. Skubal's a huge name. I think we're going to see, I actually think Toronto is selling. I think you're going to see them move on from Kevin Gossman, Dalton Varsho, potentially George Springer. Like, there's going to be big names that make it exciting, but the real true, was this deadline a dud, or was this thing really exciting, is if we see some surprise of a controllable piece that gets moved.
Here you go. I mentioned this in our last segment. New updated piece from Ken Rosenthal over on The Athletic. Cubs in the deadline mix for Freddie Peralta as Mets seek top 100 prospect in return.
And they say, we're not going Skubal, so we'll go Peralta.
Ken tweeting, Peralta Council reunion is an intriguing possibility.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That feels very much like your classic Cubs move.
And if you get him, you can add another bullpen arm or another starter if you want, because it's not going to be too costly.
I think that'd be smart.
Yeah.
And if they're able to get the most out of, Freddie Peralta is super talented. Yep. He could be, for the rest of this season, I think this is somewhere that people get misconstrued. I don't think Freddie Peralta is as good as Tarek Skubal. And in a must-win setting, I would rather have Tarek Skubal for sure. But for the rest of this season, which is like 5 or 6 starts probably, 7 starts maybe, I think Freddie Peralta could be as good as Tarek Skubal in those 5 or 6 or 7 starts when it comes to the ERA, which is most of what you're paying for at the trade deadline. And you're going to have to give up like 30% of the capital for him. So if I was a GM and I was being rational, that's probably the guy that I would trade for as well. If you're the Dodgers, you don't have to be rational because whatever. But for most of these other teams, I think it makes a lot of sense to go with, Freddie Peralta, Casey Mize, some of these rentals that you can get for much, much, much less when it comes to prospects capital.
Yeah, agreed.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. One's got to go coming up next.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Cubs yesterday as they dropped 3 of 4 at home against Chicago. Tonight they start a 3-game set at the Toronto Blue Jays. 6:07 will be first pitch. Kyle Leahy on the mound for St. Louis. Dylan Cease will get the start for Toronto. And Quinn Mathews will make his debut with the St. Louis Cardinals as he is slotted to get the start on Saturday. This Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Three 314-399-9646. That's the air covered service text line for One's Gotta Go. You give us 4 different options. We'll tell you which one's got to go here on BK and Ferrario. From the 314, One's Gotta Go ways to spend or charge edition. Cash, credit card, gift card, or e-gift. What is an e-gift? Is that like a digital credit card?
Yeah, I think a digital gift card.
Yeah. I say cash, but I never have cash on me.
I did say cash. I don't do cash anymore.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the last time.
I got to tell you, I think I'm out on the gift card thing.
What?
What, the easiest gift possible you're out on?
So,
buy your own thing?
It's not personal.
Here's the thing.
Oh, don't be that guy.
How many gift cards do you have at home that you just never use?
None.
I've used all mine.
If I have gift cards, I go. That's the first place I'm going.
Although I did find one when I got my new wallet that when I was cleaning out the old one, I found an old iTunes gift card that I definitely never used.
Yeah, no.
But
I get a gift card, I use it.
This is a me problem, is what I'm recognizing here. I end up having gift cards to places that I don't go to all the time. Like, you'll get them from friends, family, whatever, for birthdays or something. And they just end up sitting in my office.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
maybe it's not you. That might just be the bad
your
gift from the
friends.
friend.
That's fair.
Yeah, they should know you a little bit better.
Like, like a popular one for my family is like Barnes & Noble. They love reading. They love getting books. I don't know what book you want to read. Here's a gift card.
I emceed an event last year, and they gave me and Katie a gift card, and it was to a restaurant we've never been to before. But that weekend, we went to that restaurant.
Okay.
We were
That's
like,
no
"Hey,
problem."
Yeah. Well, but it's also your friend's problem. They should probably know you better.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. One's got to go, assuming the compensation is fair trade edition. Dustin May, Lars Nootbaar, Pavel Buchnevich, or Cam Fowler. If we're saying like you have to keep the other 4 and you're trading one of these and you are considering what the return will be, I'll probably go Newt because I'm getting more.
I think I agree with that.
I think I might say May. I think even though he's a rental, his stuff's been good, his profile as well. I think you get more for May potentially than a controllable outfield bat.
From the 636, by the way, a lot of people on the text line saying they are the same way as me. Cool. From the 636, no doubt. Summer Cocktail Edition, margarita, strawberry daiquiri, mojito, gin and tonic. This one's strawberry daiquiri for me. It's too sweet.
Yeah, I'm kind of out on strawberry daiquiri.
Again?
Huh?
What's a mojito again?
It's got some mint in there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of out on
what
that.
alcohol
That's what I
is
thought
that?
it was. That's why I want to make sure.
I believe rum.
Is it?
I think it is rum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like
Rum,
minty,
lime, mint, and sugar. Ooh, I
Yeah.
like that.
See, I don't want mint and like
I like
alcohol.
lime.
I'm out on that.
That feels summery. That feels,
It's refreshing.
yeah, that feels
Nice outside. Go to a outdoor patio. Have a mojito.
feels more like a fall one than a summer one, in my opinion.
Mojito?
Yeah.
No.
It's lime.
No.
No, it's mint.
Yeah, but it's
lime
lime
and
and
mint.
rum.
That's disgusting.
Okay.
Okay, man.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for One's Gotta Go. One's Gotta Go. Blink 182, Green Day, or Good Charlotte. Oh, this is a
Green
tough one,
Day.
man. I think it's Good Charlotte for me, but that
Green
It's a
Day's
high bar to
got
clear.
like 2 songs that I just love no matter what, and Good Charlotte has like 4 to 5.
It's good, Charlotte. I've never heard of them until about 24 hours ago.
Blink doesn't go anywhere.
One's Gotta Go. Last year's semifinalists for the college football playoff, making it again this year edition. Indiana, Ole Miss, Miami, or Oregon.
Oh, this is easy for me.
Ole Miss for me.
Ole Miss.
Yep.
Yeah, I could totally see where they really regress back without Lane Kiffin.
That'll be fun to act like that was fun while it lasted at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
We got a good team. No, it was just Lane.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. One's Gotta Go break edition. Summer break, Christmas break, spring break, or fall break.
Probably spring break. I don't really know what that does for me. It wasn't even fun it was fun in school because I was off, but I was never a spring
Yeah.
breaker.
I would
think-
say fall.
I always liked fall.
If fall, you got
Fall break.
football going on.
And there's stuff going on. You get to go
Yeah.
out and
Break's
do
like
Halloween
3
stuff.
days.
Yeah,
but it was still fun.
like
It was
Wednesday
still
to
the
Friday.
It's
weekend.
nice weather at that point, too. Not that spring isn't,
I
but
was about to say, spring break is
I don't-
typically a week.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
never
but there's
did
no
anything
football
on
on.
spring.
Oh, we used to go on vacations during spring
oh,
break.
yeah, no, see, my family
Yeah,
never
I
did
could
either.
never do spring
That,
break.
like originally, I was thinking get rid of summer because it's freaking hot, but then I was like, well, that's when you typically go on vacation. so
and
I'm
you're
not
off for
getting rid
like
of that.
3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
Like that's
so
the longest
think
of them
it's-
all.
I think I'm with Alex. I think it's spring break for me.
I love
too.
fall break.
Fall break is the shortest. And
I love Christmas, so winter stays.
It's
There's the most to do in fall break though. Like if you're not able to travel on vacation,
What do you mean by that?
like you can go to
Pumpkin patch.
Yeah, you go to pumpkin patch. You go apple picking. You
In
get to do-
November? Late November?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are doing
Fall
that over
break wasn't-
Thanksgiving.
Well, that's Thanksgiving break. There was fall break
Yeah,
that was in October.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, October is what we
Yeah,
were talking
fall
about.
break and
I think
Thanksgiving
it's like
break were
Thanksgiving
different.
break. Thanksgiving
there's-
break, I think, is called fall break.
No,
We called it Thanksgiving. I don't know what you'd call it.
I
I'd
had
call it like
fall
in
breaks
between.
in October.
And let's look up St. Louis fall break.
That's a weird thing to Google.
They don't call it that. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving break.
Don't tell me what St.
Would be
Louis calls
considered
it. I
fall
was
break.
in school. I had fall break and Thanksgiving break.
Kansas City loser.
Yeah. You don't know how to
October.
pronounce crayons.
October is when some of the people are saying that they do this.
Fall break and don't
That's
tell
what I
me
was
what
thinking.
St. Louis has.
Me and Alex are on the same page there. When you brought up like Thanksgiving, I was like, well, no.
I will admit defeat.
Thanksgiving break is also one that I would keep over spring break. I like Thanksgiving break.
I would assume fall break is still only a couple of days, right?
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
typically like a Friday.
Yeah, a Friday, maybe a
The
Monday.
month, yeah, sometimes Mondays.
I don't even know why we did it. Was there any like holiday behind it?
No, I don't think
Yeah, I
so.
don't either.
I mean, unless they
Are
did
they
it
still
around
doing that?
Halloween.
I don't know.
Did they do it around Halloween?
No,
Because I
wasn't
always
there,
felt like it was
a
early October.
Random like off day in October named after somebody?
Splashback Deuce. Bader had a fall break. Coming up next, the Rewind here on 101 ESPN. With Alex and T1, I'm BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app, free to download, super easy to use, and it is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. By the way, I'll check out that mobile app next week. I'll just go ahead and say that. I think you're going to have an opportunity to win some prizes over there, so be sure to have that downloaded. Over the weekend, we'll tell you more about that
heads up
next week. By the way, over on YouTube, you can always rewatch the show, and that's where you can find the latest edition of the Redbird Report. T-Bone and I did a new edition yesterday. We spent about an hour talking about Dustin May, the trade deadline, who stays, who goes, what it all means for the Cardinals. If you are interested in any of that, check it out at your leisure, either today or over the weekend. I'm going to guess that's probably going to be not even the backdrop. I would say that's probably the primary topic over the weekend for the Cardinals, outside of what they get out of Quinn Mathews tomorrow. And that's where I want to finish today's show, is with the Quinn Mathews start. Alex, he makes his debut tomorrow afternoon against the Toronto Blue Jays. What are you anticipating from Quinn Mathews?
An average outing. I'm not expecting him to get anybody super excited about it, but I think what will be exciting is seeing the potential of what his stuff truly is. Going up against Toronto is an ideal one. You're on the road, which is another really good option for this team to make sure it's as easy as possible. But I don't think you're going to be coming away with this feeling like Quinn Mathews is your next ace. I think you're going to be walking away from this saying, hey, he's got the swing and miss stuff that this team has lacked, and there's still some work to be done with him at the major league level.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what the swing and miss looks like for him, and his command. I think those are the two things I'll be watching in his first start, because that's the thing that was the problem for him last year down in the minor leagues, and early on in this year was a problem for him, was the command. It led to a bunch of walks. But the swing and miss stuff, I mean, you can't deny what he did in the minor leagues. Anytime you look at his slash line, even though he'd be walking the world, nobody was getting hits off of him. So I'm excited to see how that translates. I agree with Alex, though. I think it's probably going to be an average outing. I think it's going to be about 4 or 5 innings. There's probably about a hit per inning and maybe a couple walks in there, but you'd hope to see that the same amount of strikeouts and limits the damage that's done to him.
It is noteworthy that they are going to have him starting against a team that so far this year has been the least productive lineup in all of Major League Baseball against lefties. I'm sure that was somewhat by design, so hopefully he looks decent in this debut. It's a good matchup for him. They put him into a good spot to be able to have success. Some news in Major League Baseball is the Rays have placed Shane McClanahan on the injured list. He's got some back issues. It sounds as though they're telling everybody this is not significant. I would say if you've got a starter with a history of injuries and he has a back issue that's putting him on the IL in late July, it's something at least worth monitoring. And they're already a team that was in need of some kind of starting pitching help. I would keep an eye on them this weekend as a potential Dustin May suitor. I don't know anything, but there's a history of Chaim Bloom relationships down there in Tampa Bay. I would assume they probably see value in players similarly. I think Dustin May feels like a classic Tampa Bay Rays trade deadline acquisition, and I would imagine that they probably have a decent amount in their system that would make sense for the Cardinals. So that's one team that I would have my eye on. Beyond that, guys, before we get back on the air on Monday, who do you think is dealt? Call your shot. Who do you think is dealt by the Cardinals before 11 a.m. on Monday morning?
I think Dustin May's the only guy moved.
Before that time.
Yeah, before Monday morning.
Yep.
Yeah. No, there's a lot more to come, but I think that's going to be Monday.
Yeah, I think May will be gone. I think they'll probably get a deal done for JoJo, and I'll say Pages. I think they'll get a couple moves done this weekend.
I think you see May get traded over the weekend. I think Newt gets traded over the weekend, and I think Pages gets traded over the weekend. And then they spend Monday and Tuesday looking more at like some of the controllable players.
Yeah. I think O'Brien and Nootbaar are going to be more of Monday decisions. I think that Nootbaar one, you got to wait to see how the market kind of plays out.
Should be a super interesting weekend for the Cardinals. They've got Quinn Mathews on the mound. He's going to make his debut, and they've got a lot of trade discussions to be had behind the scenes as well. So long as my flight goes well this weekend, I'll be back with you guys on Monday at 11 a.m.
T-Bone and I will be here.
Alex and T-Bone. Regardless, we've got a Redbird Report coming up on Monday night at 6 o'clock. So if you guys are interested in hearing our reaction or breakdown of the Cardinals trades, you'll hear it here on BK and Ferrario at 11, and then we'll break everything down after it's happened on the Redbird Report, a live edition on 101 ESPN on Monday night. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Coming up next, it's the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN.